Lane. Police say there's another one, 24 eastbound near Bell Road. I can tell you east and westbound of 40 between the eastern split and the loop downtown. It is bumper to bumper, as is eastbound 440 over to 24, northbound 65 up to the south loop downtown. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.307 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Happy early 4th of July. We're off the next couple days. You boys ready?
Yes, sir.
Long weekend?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes.
Man, I'm hype. My wife said to me, I'm walking out today. I'm walking out of the house. She goes, it's 4th of July. You got to treat this as your 4th of July show.
Yes, sir.
I said, what are you doing wearing a white shirt? I said, go put on something patriotic. I said, bet. Ran upstairs, grabbed my white Trump Vance hat. I said, that's the most patriotic thing I own, baby. It's the most patriotic thing I own.
And it's red, white, and blue, baby.
Yeah. So we're rocking it. We're excited. Are you guys excited for the 4th? You doing anything crazy, Ken?
No, I'm just going to hang out with my family, man. I'm going to rest and relax.
Based. What about you, Jackson?
Gonna hang out with the family. Definitely gonna shoot some fireworks off, though.
Oh, you got to do it.
I'm going to watch that. I've got some neighbors who, they put on a show.
Did you see the fireworks factory in Esperado, California earlier today blow up?
Yeah, dude.
That's a bummer.
I thought what was interesting about that is, did you notice the swimming pool?
Is it a swimming pool?
Yeah, there was a swimming pool near that thing. So was that like in case
In case of explosion?
in case of an explosion, you hop in the pool? Or...
Hold your breath.
But yeah, man, what a show that thing put on.
Woo, it was insane. And then I think was it 7 people were injured or died?
I don't know. I got to look it up.
Yeah, there was. I definitely think there was some
I'm seeing
casualties
very
there.
little coverage on that. Very little coverage. There's so much.
You would assume that a lot of the news stations are going to cover it just because it's on theme for the weekend.
Right,
you know?
right.
But the left is celebrating too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you heard Chad Benson's clip a little while ago.
Oh
So
yeah.
It's canceled.
Yeah.
Well, Eli Mistel, who's just a known radical leftist, MSNBC favorite, he wanted to talk about our country, where it stands today as we head into the 4th of July.
And I don't say this lightly, but our country needs to be sanctioned.
Oh.
We are the bad guys on the world stage. We are a menace to not only free people everywhere, but we are a menace to peaceful people everywhere at this point. And I'm not even going to say that we've only been a menace for the past 3 or 4 months, right? Like, when does the international community decide that enough is enough? I know we're rich. I know we've got a lot of money. I know that people want to buy things from our country because we're rich, or want to sell things to our country because we're rich. But at some point, the international community has to stand up to us because we are a bad guy on the world stage, right? And so we should be sanctioned. We should be sanctioned and rebuked.
No, we should be sanctioned and rebuked. Unfortunately, the world stage would be terrified to do that against Donald Trump, and maybe they'll try it when we have another Democrat in office. So, best of luck to you. Happy 4th of July.
Yes, sir.
I'll be celebrating on my stolen land all weekend long, baby. All weekend long. So, I'm sorry. I will be. We're waiting for the big, beautiful bill to pass. But just before we start talking about that, just a bit of note, a little bit more American pride for you. We've already seen recruitment numbers soaring across several major branches of the military. But the Space Force and the Air Force have just exceeded their annual recruiting goals months ahead of schedule. This is what happens when you have a competent leader. This is what happens when America is on the upswing and when we're, as Donald Trump puts it, hot again. We're hot. And the numbers are there to prove it. As we wait for the Donald Trump agenda to be pushed through in the form of the big, beautiful bill, this is going to be the vehicle that drives the mandate the American public voted for. We got 10 holdouts on the Republican side. This is as of 2 o'clock. Andy Biggs out of Arizona. He's running for governor there. Lauren Boebert, Andrew Clyde, Dunn out of Florida, Andy Harris, Dan Muser, Andy Ogles is a holdout. I assume Andy's going to be one of the first to say, yes, sir, Mr. Trump, I'll vote for it. We got Scott Perry, Chip Roy, and Thomas Massie, who is never going to vote for this thing, even if you had his mother sitting in a chair tied up with her fingernails being removed by a Tren de Arago gang member. I don't think that Thomas Massie would vote for this thing. I don't think that there's any reasonable expectation that Thomas Massie is ever going to vote for it. And I like that about Thomas Massie. I do. I want the big, beautiful bill to get passed. And at the same time, I think all the calls for Thomas Massie to be primaried over this is just garbage. Thomas Massie always does this. He is anything if not consistent. And I'm fine with Thomas Massie doing this. I'm completely 100% fine. We need guys like Thomas Massie in our party. The thing that bugs me is when Trump and those in the Trump orbit call for his primary, yet we get Lindsey Graham endorsements. It's like, okay, what would you rather have? You tell me. You tell Super Talk audience. Who would you rather have? You could pick. Would you have Thomas Massie or Lindsey Graham? I mean, come on. The guys that do need to be removed, it seems like they get endorsements, and then the guys that should stick around for the long haul seem to be challenged over and over and over. Stephen Miller was on Laura Ingraham last night. Stephen Miller is one of the biggest proponents for the big, beautiful bill. And he says that, despite what the estimates say, what we're looking at with the big, beautiful bill is the largest spending cut in American history.
Well, this is the largest spending cut, Laura, in American history. Think about what's in this bill. The largest tax cut and reform in American history. The largest spending cut in American history. The largest welfare reform in American history. The largest reduction in federal spending ever achieved in a single bill, and then it also includes the most robust, comprehensive border security and immigration enforcement package we've ever seen. One that will allow us to deport millions upon millions of invaders. To oppose this bill is to support the invasion. To oppose this bill is to support the continued giveaways and freebies to cheaters and scam artists. To oppose this bill is to support a 68% tax hike on the American public, and is also to oppose this bill is to support a deprivation of all of the tax benefits that President Trump is fighting to deliver the middle class, like no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. The Senate passed this bill just today, demonstrating that they are fighting for President Trump. They are fighting for his agenda. They are not going to listen to an outside voice that does not represent the interests of the American people or the interests of the Republican Party. And the House is going to rally behind President Trump to pass this bill for America.
Let's go. We need to do it for America. Rally behind President Trump. We'll see what happens with the 10 holdouts. I do know that one of the things that I do is I look at who the opposition is and who are the loudest voices speaking out against it. And you can run down the list. They're all screaming that this is going to cause death and destruction, and all these people are going to lose Medicaid and Medicare, and that's from the left. Earlier today, Oregon Congresswoman, member of the Democratic Doctors Caucus, was trying to speak at Capitol Hill, and she's holding this little press briefing with some doctors around her, the Democrat Doctors Caucus, and nobody cared what she was talking about.
Are the Doctors Caucus Democratic Doctors Caucus? We have cared for the sickest patients in our community.
Now, if you're watching on the stream, you'll get the added bonus of the video. One of the reasons why you should always check out Super Talk TV on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. But for those of you that are just listening on your radio, let me explain the scene to you. She's trying to talk about how this is bad and she knows best because she's a doctor, and they're talking to the cameras, and you have troves of people just trying to get through and not really caring about what she has to say at all. And I think that that's how we need to treat the voices that are speaking out against this. Oh, okay, moving on. Moving on. But let's be perfectly honest. There are some major wins in the big, beautiful bill. Major wins. The Rapid Response Twitter account posted this earlier today, whitehouse.gov/BBB. Major wins. This bill is America first. It delivers the largest tax cut in history for the middle class and working class Americans. Bigger paychecks of $10,000 more in annual take-home pay for family. No tax on tips. No tax on overtime. No tax on Social Security. No tax on Made in America auto loans. Protects 2 million family farms from punitive double taxation. Permanent increases to the child tax credit, supporting over 40 million American families. Rescinds billions in green new scam funding. Restores fiscal sanity, slashing deficits by roughly $2 trillion. Eliminates waste, fraud, and abuse from bloated federal programs. Permanently secures our borders, deports at least 1 million illegal aliens a year, and it makes the largest investment on border security in a generation. It's going to provide nearly $150 billion to secure our border and deport illegal aliens, and it'll finish phase 2 of the border wall. This is the biggest national security threat that we have in America, the 21 million plus illegal aliens. This is what needs to be remedied before we can discuss or deal with anything else. We need to get our oxygen mask on. We've stopped the bleeding at the border. Now we need to remove the invaders. This bill is going to do that. Any other issue is secondary to what we need to do to keep our country our country. You understand that, right? Everything else is secondary. Getting the 21 million illegal alien invaders out is the priority. This bill accomplishes that. It accomplishes it. It hires 10,000 new ICE agents, 5,000 customs officers, and 3,000 Border Patrol agents. Are we going to have another opportunity like this? I don't think so. I don't. And I think we need to get this through for that alone. For the border security alone. But they'll say it costs too much. They'll tell us that, this is going to blow up the national deficit. We're at 37 trillion now. We'll be at 53 trillion. Scott Bessent says not so fast. Scott Bessent went on Laura Ingram's show last night. He said, don't believe the panicans. Please don't believe the panicans. The estimates are bunk. They always have been. And what this bill is going to do is create a lot of revenue for this country.
Let's just look at what the market's saying. The market had the fastest recovery from a 15% decline in history. After the bottom, shortly after Liberation Day, there was a complete panic by, as you said, the financial establishment. Anyone who sold then got left out. We had this tremendous rally. S&P, Dow NASDAQ are doing well on the year. And the bond market, which everyone says should panic over inflation or the tariffs, the 10-year bond had the best return that it's had in 5 years. So bond market's doing well, stock market's doing well. I will take the market-based indicators over the so-called experts all the time. That's how I made my 35-year career, was listening to the market.
Don't believe the experts. The experts have been wrong time and time and time again. That's the message from Scott Bessent. The message from Scott Bessent is these same experts told you that the tariffs were going to plunge us into a recession. Did it happen? Are we still waiting? If a recession happens in 5 years from now, are we going to say it was because of Trump's tariffs? I mean, I know the mainstream media probably will try to correlate it. The mainstream media and the so-called experts told us that the tariffs would lead to rampant inflation. Mind you, those same experts and same media were telling us under the Biden years that the inflation was transitory, that the inflation wasn't really happening, and that when it finally couldn't be ignored anymore, the inflation was actually a good thing. Yeah. Are we going to believe the so-called experts now? I don't think it's a good idea, personally. I'm going to lean on trusting Trump. I think that's the move. That's how I'm going to approach this. I wonder what you were going to do. 615-737-9986. Jeff in the borough on the big, beautiful Bill. What's up, Jeff?
How's it going?
Good, man. What do you think?
I don't really like it. A guy, they had a debate earlier on channel, a guy called the Big Ugly Bill. But I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, what it is when a Republican gets in office, see, they're not worried about spending. They want to spend on defense and bombs and chips. I just feel we got to build that military up. God, we're so weak. We can't defend anybody. But when a Democrat gets in, we got to stop spending now, don't we? Got to stop that spending, Dave. Can't spend no more. Can't spend on the social for all this stuff. So we ain't spending on that. So when you cut people's insurance and stuff, like that guy said, when the midterms come, Dave, it's going to be a blue wave. I hope it is. There'll be a blue wave across this.
You hope it's a blue wave?
Yeah. What about Tom Tillis retiring?
Are you a Democrat?
Most of the time, yeah.
Well, hey, just for starters,
I don't like Trump at all. Okay.
No, dude, that's totally Jeff. That's Jeff. That's totally cool, man. I'm glad you called in. My thing would be that the experts have told us time and time again that Donald Trump is going to ruin this economy, and he hasn't.
Well, he's ruined our country. Period.
How?
He ruined it. Well,
Keeping Iran from having a nuclear weapon, securing the southern border, securing the southern border with just the laws on the books.
They'll build back in 6 or 9 months, and they'll get another bomb. Maybe they might send one to us this time.
Okay, but who do you think handles that better, Trump or Biden?
What handles what better?
If your estimations are correct that in 6 to 9 months Iran gets another bomb, which president would you rather have in there handling it?
I'd rather have 5 dead Biden before I'd have one Trump.
What? Okay.
And I mean that truly.
All right. I mean, you're like an old school yellow dog Democrat, man. I like it. I'm here for it.
Because I like Clinton and Obama. You didn't vote for Obama because he's black. I know that, Dave.
No. It's actually.
Hey, you tell Mr. Murphy
actually not true.
July 4th and shave his head. Will you? Y'all have a good July 4th, Dave.
Hey, man, I appreciate the call, Jeff. I appreciate the call. Democrats, go to the front of the line. I would talk to Jeff all day.
Oh, yes.
I'm not lying to you. Jeff's different. He'll take 5 dead Bidens before Trump. To be fair, they probably would accomplish a lot more than just one Biden that we had previously. 322 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you have a pest problem and that pest problem comes in the form of, let's say, ticks or roaches or fleas or ladybugs or silverfish or stink bugs, and there's many, many more. I mean, common Tennessee pests are in abundance right now because this is the time of year that you see them most. Well, it's time to get rid of them. Those pests don't have to be a reality for you if you have U.S. Pest on your side. Pest control is vital in your community. Pest control is vital in your home. It protects your family from the nastiness that is insect-borne disease or rodent-borne disease. It also just is the creep factor, right? You don't want roaches in your home. You don't want bugs in your home, and you certainly don't want termites. They can cause major damage. Give U.S. Pest a call today and find out what they can do for you. They don't pressure you into doing anything you don't want to do. They're not high-pressure sales guys. They're just there to solve problems. U.S. Pest. Go to uspest.com. They are the best at U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest is owned by J.K. and Erica Brister. And I always like to say there's 2 things you need to know about them. They love the United States of America, and they hate bugs. 590-1260. That's 590-1260.
At least one person dead in a small plane crash here in Middle Tennessee. And a woman is in critical condition after a shooting in broad daylight in Nashville. Got the Diddy verdict reaction. All this and more at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I got a bit of a controversy that nobody's talking about.
What is it, Brother Chris?
You seen these videos that Nancy Mace has been posting all day?
No.
She was doing like a road trip, girls trip to go vote for the big, beautiful bill.
Okay.
And she's rolling around in her PJs. She's in her pajamas.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She's got a little dog with her. You got the video on the screen?
A little fella.
So she shows up at a Wawa, and I don't know, whatever. She's posting stupid videos that whatever. Like I don't care about that. That's not what I'm upset about.
Right.
I'm not upset about the pajamas. Not upset about that. But she showed up at a Wawa, and she brought her little dog inside the Wawa.
Not supposed to do that, huh?
It's not a service dog.
Oh.
I don't like these people bringing their dogs everywhere. I don't. I'm a dog person. I'm a dog. But you don't bring your dog into the Wawa. Don't bring your dog into the restaurant. Stop it. It's not a service dog.
Yeah.
Fight me if you don't like it. Honestly, I'm tired of seeing these dogs. And even if it was a service dog, it's a lousy service dog. You need yourself a big service dog.
Well, and it says right here, Wawa is known for its excellent customer service and clean stores.
Dog ruined that store. That was they said Lumberton, North Carolina. They stopped. I wouldn't go to that Wawa. It's a mess. Nancy Mace should do better. She should do better. It really did. It bugged me. What are you doing bringing your dog into the store? So tired of that. Leave your dog at home. It's a dog. Treat the dog like the dog. It's my kid. No, it's not. It's not. It's a dog. Always has been. Always will be.
It's an animal.
It's not your kid. Mike in Old Hickory on the big, beautiful bill. What's up, man?
Just make a comment on the BBB. I'm a little worried. Right now, I've got 7 Republicans in the House that are now blocking this thing, and they're going to chip away at them. But here's the problem that I have is that the Senate bill that passed is a bad bill. The only thing that I think that's going to be salvageable out of all of this mess is the tax cuts. If we get the tax cuts in both houses, then I think we're going to get a partial win. Because what the Senate passed didn't really cut spending anywhere. And it passed with a 50-50 vote with Lisa McCursky getting the money she wanted for Alaska by blackmailing Thune and Trump. Otherwise, she wouldn't have voted for it, and it would have failed.
Well, no, I mean, listen, I will disagree with you on a couple points, Mike, and I appreciate the call. There is going to be, 1.8 million illegal aliens pulled off of Medicaid because of this bill. That's a win. There is going to be $150 billion for border security in this bill. That's a win. It's going to get us 5,000 officers, if I recall correctly. That's a massive win. This bill is going to accomplish many of the promises that Donald Trump brought to the table. And I believe in it. I believe in it. I think it's going to be a win no matter how you slice it. Are we going to get everything we want? No. Are we going to overspend? Absolutely. Was that already baked into the cake? You betcha. 331 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And at least one person reportedly died in a small plane crash in Sumner County this afternoon. Channel 4's Jordan James from the scene near Highway 25 and Liberty Lane.
The plane is in the trees right next to a barn. We're still working to learn how many people were on board of this plane or if there were any animals inside of this particular barn. Data from flight radar shows that this plane left Gallatin Music City Executive Airport around 8 o'clock this morning.
Federal investigators have been contacted. Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, a woman's in critical condition after getting shot during an argument at the King's Market gas station on Jefferson Street. She was shot in the stomach, rushed to the hospital. The suspect last seen speeding away in an SUV. Police looking for him.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. A judge is expected to decide if Sean Diddy Combs should be released on bail following the jury's split verdict today in his trial. Jurors acquitted the hip-hop mogul on the most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering in connection with two ex-girlfriends who testified Combs coerced them into participating in sex parties with male escorts. The defense argued during the trial Cassie Ventura and another woman Combs dated who went by the name Jane during the trial consented. Combs was found guilty of prostitution-related crimes. ABC's Aaron Katursky is in Lower Manhattan.
He has been found guilty on count 3, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. He has also been found guilty on count 5, transportation for the purposes of prostitution. These charges carry a maximum penalty of up to 10 years in prison, so we do have a split verdict.
Outside the court, cheers and fans celebrated the split verdict. This is ABC News.
Brian Koberger admitted in an Idaho court today that he was the one who killed 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022, and by the plea deal, he avoids the death penalty. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Seeing some real slowdown over on the West Loop going north up to the 24 split, and then westbound 24 is really slow going. That looks like from about Briley Parkway up to the eastern split where 40 and 24 merge. Eastbound 440 to 24, bumper to bumper. So is northbound 65 up to the South Loop. We do have a crash reported by police, 24 eastbound at Bell Road, and then 40 eastbound after Spence Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, folks. Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. Savory Spice is located in Franklin. They've been there for quite some time, right off the square next to Gray's Pharmacy. I encourage you to go say hello to Holly and David. Oftentimes, they're the owners, by the way, of Savory Spice, and you'll see them in the shop assisting customers just like you, finding the right spices or seasonings for just the right flavor. If you're looking for something in particular and you can't find it at the less than spice shops, you need to get to Savory Spice because odds are they've got it and they can get it if they don't. Plus, they have all the great grilling flavors for the summertime. Did you know that today is the first official day of summer? It's true. Today or tomorrow is the longest day of the year. One way or the other, a lot of grilling going on in and around Middle Tennessee, and it's time to grill with the best. Grill with Savory Spice. You up your food game, friends, by upping your spice game. And like I like to say, you up your spice game at Savory Spice. Go see them, say I said hello, and maybe stock up for the summertime or for the just because with the one and only Savory Spice. You know, Father's Day is come and gone, and hopefully many of you got out to Volunteer Outfitters in Hendersonville and got your dad something special at a great store at a great price. In Hendersonville, they've got Southern Marsh, Drake, Huck, and so many of the other name brands that you pay a lot more for in the city of Nashville or some of those cities south than you do in Hendersonville. Plus, they are open Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturday, 10 to 4. You know, Tuesday's always free T-shirt Tuesday. You buy anything in the store, you get a free T-shirt at Volunteer Outfitters. Give them a call if you're wondering if they've got something. I mean, they got stuff for the fisherman. They've got stuff for the hunter, and obviously for the outdoorsman, generally speaking, the golfer in your life. They got great things there. Plus, ask about my cocktail shirt. Tommy convinced me to buy a cocktail shirt the last time I was there. Actually, he bought it for me, which is kind of nice. I don't know if he'll buy you one for you, but let's find out together. Tommy and Volunteer Outfitters are great people, and you can find them on New Shackle Island Road in Hendersonville.
.338 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Matt Murphy. Matt's going to be back, he's going to be joining us in about an hour and 20 minutes. Matt's going to be hanging out the entire 5 o'clock hour. He's just itching to get back in. He's itching to get on the airwaves and let you know how he feels about everything.
Brother Murphy.
I mean, we were talking about this, and I'd said to my wife, I was like, I feel like Murphy's going to be back. You know, you get that pull as a talk show host. You don't want to miss any time. And my wife didn't understand. And then I was texting with Matt Murphy, and he said, I wanted to be back sooner, but Erica said I needed time, and he said, you don't understand. I said, yeah, I get it. So we've been having the same conversation. My wife, though, it's hilarious. I said, I still feel bad for Murphy, and she looked at me. This was last night. I said, I'm feeling bad for Murphy. I said, I know it's bugging him. He wants to be on the air. His shoulder's hurting.
Yeah.
And she looks me dead in the eye, and she goes, I don't feel bad for Matt anymore. And I said, what? I said, how could you say that? And she said, well, today, I have a dentist appointment with 4 kids that I made after your show. She said, I had planned on you being there to help. So my empathy for Matt Murphy has run out. So
you might say she's having to shoulder the responsibility.
Ooh, I like it. I'm here for it. Thomas Massie says he has the votes to block the bill. It's what we got, 7 to 10 holdouts still on the Trump mega bill. A lot of individuals on the text line said that Andy Ogles is only holding out so his name gets mentioned in the news. That's harsh. I wouldn't have gone there, but the Super Talk listeners did on the text line, several of them. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show, either on the phone lines or the text line. You can also join in the YouTube chat. Have you noticed on the YouTube chat that they're now handing out crowns and like number 1, number 2 for like our top YouTube chatters? Have you noticed that? It's pretty cool.
All right.
It's pretty cool. So the current power ranking in number 1 is our friend Antioch Veteran. That's our number 1 YouTube streamer. Then coming in at number 2 is everybody's favorite Thundercleese. And then number 3, Brett Jones, number 3. So that's the power rankings. If you want to beat those super fans, you got to get in on the YouTube chat over on YouTube. Search for Super Talk 99.7 WTN and hit like, hit subscribe, do all the things. We appreciate it. A lot to get to today. The big beautiful bill does handle a lot when it comes to the border and immigration. It's going to finish the border wall. It is going to hire 10,000 new ICE agents, 5,000 customs officers, 3,000 border patrol agents. It's going to provide nearly $150 billion to secure our border and deport illegal aliens. It's massive what we're doing. The left will cry out in anger and say, "How dare you? We need to defend these monsters," and they'll say we need due process. And then I'll just say, you do understand the type of individual that you're defending, right? Like, it's not just Trump repeating all the time that they come from mental institutions and prisons and they're gang members. That's just the reality of the situation. It's not a Trump talking point. Kristi Noem yesterday, while they were touring Alligator Alcatraz, detailed a story about an illegal alien cannibal who had been detained and was being deported on one of their planes and snapped and started trying to eat himself on the plane. Remember this story when the Democrats start yelling that this is inhumane, that we're removing these people from our country.
ICE officers and our Border Patrol officers for what they do every day. They are out on the streets and violence against them has increased over 500% since Trump has gone back into the White House, because he's upholding the law and because a bunch of liberals, socialists, and Marxists are out there lying about what President Trump is doing.
Facts.
President Trump is upholding freedom by what he is doing. The freedom to live safely in this country and to do things legally and to have justice. And because those liberals, and I'm calling out you, CNN, I'm calling you out because you lie every single day about what these operations are. We are going after murderers and rapists and traffickers and drug dealers and getting them off the streets and getting them out of this country because Joe Biden let the worst of the worst come in here. The other day I was talking to some marshals that have been partnering with ICE. They said that they had detained a cannibal and put him on a plane to take him home, and while they had him in his seat, he started to eat himself. And they had to get him off and get him medical attention. These are the kind of deranged individuals that are on our streets in America that we're trying to target and get out of our country because they are so deranged they don't belong here. And they shouldn't be walking the streets with our children. And they shouldn't be living in the community.
No, they shouldn't be, yet I can already see it now. A deranged leftist with blue hair screaming at an ICE agent while holding a sign that says, "Cannibal Lives Matter." Yeah, well, that's coming. That's coming to a protest near you. Make no mistake about it. But these are the individuals that they're targeting. Now, the arrests at the border has dropped 40% in June. This is a massive deal. Breitbart reported on it. Migrant arrests at the border has dropped by 41% in June to a new record low. 0 admitted in the U.S. According to numbers posted on social media by border czar Tom Homan, the arrest of migrants who illegally crossed borders into the United States fell to just over 6,000 in June. This represents the lowest month in modern Border Patrol records and a 41% decrease from the May report. They're calling it the Trump effect. That's how Tom Homan put it on X. He said total Border Patrol encounters for the entire month of June 2025 was 6,070. That is less than a single day under Biden. The entire month of June, border crossers, 6,070, less than a single day under Biden. And fun fact, none of these border crossers were released into the country. Under Biden, they all were. Every single one of them. Not so anymore. Not so anymore. Also, none of the 60, 70 were released into the U.S. 0, says Tom Homan. President Trump has created the most secure border in history of the nation, and the data proves it. We have never seen numbers this low. And while we're seeing low numbers on the border side, you heard Kristi Noem mention in that last clip, we're actually seeing record numbers when it comes to assault against ICE agents. That has been up nearly 700%. 700% increase in assault on ICE agents. And you can only point the finger at mainstream media and the Democrats and the narrative that they've been peddling.
It's an important one, Will. A scary jump in the number of attacks on ICE agents, as they, of course, have been ramping up enforcement efforts under President Trump. DHS telling Fox today that assaults are up nearly 700%. There were 10 assaults from January through June last year. This year, 79 assaults. And to think some Democrats are throwing a fit over agents using face coverings as they arrest criminal illegal immigrants. Some say immigrants, I say aliens. Go figure. Next up, President Trump says...
I love how he cut his slip. I love that. He should have stuck with a slip originally. Alien. They're illegal aliens. They're illegal aliens. Conservative media does that a lot. I don't know if you've noticed this. I've noticed it. And I've fallen prey to it myself. I'll be reading like the most conservative source. It'll be Breitbart. And they'll say undocumented. I'm like, what the hell is that? Why are we doing this? The term is illegal alien. It's a legal alien. And the illegal aliens and their supporters have increased assaults against ICE officers just about 700%, 690% to be exact. So we're seeing the crossing numbers plummet and the assault numbers skyrocket. And you heard Kristi Noem again in that last clip. She called out CNN. CNN has been advertising a bunch of stuff. We talked about this yesterday and the day before, the ICE Block app. This new app where you can report ICE sightings. Yeah. So you see ICE operating in your neighborhood, you say, "Ooh, look out, roofers, look out, farmers, dairy workers. There's an ICE raid," and then nobody shows up to work. CNN ran a whole report on that, essentially promoting it. Tom Homan was not exactly happy about that. Tom Homan says you have a network like CNN talking about this app and educating people on the existence of this app. I'm going to have the DOJ look into it.
Does that app interfere with deportations? And if so, what do you do about it?
It absolutely does, and it angers me. Look, I've been doing this since 1984, Stuart. I've been doing this longer than anybody around here. And I just can't believe we're in a place where, you know, a TV network like CNN is talking about this app and educating people on the existence of this
Seriously.
app. And ICE law enforcement officers, like I said earlier, they're concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. This is a dangerous job. And this app is going to give the bad guy heads up that we're coming, which means more bad guys are going to escape arrest, which makes this country less safe, which is a public safety issue. And on top of that, it's only a matter of time for a bad guy, which is like someone who threw a Molotov cocktail at officers in L.A., who the assaults against ICE officers up over 500%. It's a matter of time, but someone uses that and ambushes ICE officers. This is something we cannot tolerate, we can't stand for, so we're calling them out, and I'm begging the Department of Justice to look into this and hold people accountable.
We do need the Department of Justice to look into this and hold people accountable. Tom Homan is 100% right. I will add this little wrinkle. When we were talking about the ICE Block app, we had a listener text in and said we should just report fake ICE sightings. And then the audience responded just like thunder. You guys were sending in screenshots of all the ICE sightings that you reported, you know, ICE sightings with the air quotes. And I wanted to add, though, that this audience wasn't the only one to think of that. This has actually been happening across cities across the country. This ICE Block app has been rendered essentially useless because of patriots like you making fake reports about where you see ICE. So while, yes, the creators of this app need to be looked at, need to be investigated by the DOJ and hopefully have the book thrown at them, I do want to update you and say that you can't really use the app anymore because of patriots saying, I see ICE everywhere. It's like you're like Haley Joel Osment in Dead People. It's like, I see ICE. I see ICE everywhere. They're in the room with me right now. ICE is here at 10 Music Circle East. If you're looking at the ICE Block app, just to let you know. So the app it's pointless at this point. But they're still mad. They're going to find new reasons to be upset. The latest anger-inducing factor is alligator Alcatraz, Gatortraz, if you will, alligator. But the left very, very upset about it. They're bringing back the messaging and the narrative of kids in cages. That's what they're going to lean on. It didn't work the last time. It's not going to work this time. They're still going to try. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the way. 3:50. My name is Chris Hanneman for Matt Murphy. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Efficient Heating and Cooling understands it's just going to get hotter from here. You probably know that, too. Let Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling cool you off if you're not being cooled appropriately or properly in your home right now. By calling Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling, you'll get a qualified technician that understands your unit. They also understand that maintenance is of the utmost importance when it comes to making sure that everything's going to run well over the summertime months and for as long as possible. And that is key, too, because there's a life cycle to your air conditioner. And if you get regular maintenance, you're going to extend that life cycle, and ultimately it's going to save you a lot of money because the breakdowns, they can cost a little more. Now, they don't cost as more with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling because they never charge you overtime rates at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Call 615-784-4424 and talk to them about their maintenance guarantee. If they come out and maintenance your AC during the summer, during this season, if they have to come back because of an AC problem, they're going to waive the service charge on that call. That's how much they believe in the maintenance done at Efficient Heating and Cooling. Go to efficienthvac.net, efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424.
One person dead in a small plane crash in Middle Tennessee. We've got the Diddy verdict reaction. Brian Koberger admits to slaughtering 4 Idaho University students back in 2022. And police in Murfreesboro say they're using their new technology. They've rounded up a 7th drive-by shooting suspect with it. Details at 4 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. 3:56 on Supertalk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand, in for Matt Murphy, who's going to be joining us in the 5 o'clock hour for the entire hour. Matt is he's got his ram pants on. Did he get his ram pants on?
He's working on it.
It's tougher with one shoulder, so takes him a little bit longer. But he should have them on by 5 o'clock. Get ready. There's a lot that we could talk to Matt Murphy about. I wonder what he thinks about Alligator Alcatraz. Deputy Assistant DHS Secretary Mika Bach was on, what was this, the National Report. And he was talking about how this is a fundamental change in how we're dealing with illegal aliens down at Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, it's an incredibly important part and facet of this administration's approach to remove illegal criminal aliens from our country, is this Alligator Alcatraz facility. And what I think is important to note is this represents a fundamental shift from how the previous administration dealt with criminal illegal aliens. If you recall, up in New York City, under the FEMA Shelter and Services Program, President Biden was providing hotel rooms and care for criminal illegal aliens, including the murderer who committed the murder of Laken Riley. He was providing them with hotel key cards, whereas under this administration, under Secretary Noon's leadership, we're keeping these criminals under lock and key.
Yep, based. That's what we need to do. Now, the left is very, very upset about this. Joy Reid found herself a microphone, and I think this was on her podcast. What was it called? Joycast? Cloudy with a chance of joy. And she said, no, this isn't anything new. We've seen this before. This is Nazi Germany.
To forget about him, but Ron DeSantis is still governor of Florida. He took the Comfy Couch hosts on a tour of the concentration camp that he's building in Florida in order to round up brown people, and throw them in a camp because he doesn't want them in Florida. Surprise, surprise, the economy of Florida is going to be severely harmed by rounding up brown people who, by the way, all over this country, Latinos are afraid to go to work. Anybody who is perceived or looks Latino is afraid to go to work. I know people who are...
everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid. These are concentration camps. So scary. So scary. Are you scared? If you're not, you should be. We've seen this before. This is Nazi-esque. What you need to do is allow all the invaders to live in your country forever. It doesn't matter about their criminal record or history or gang affiliation. Come on. Come on. Stop with the details. Don't worry about that. You need to be afraid of Donald Trump. That's the scary part here. And we're already seeing the narrative come back of kids in cages. We got the kids in the cages again. Got kids in cages. It wasn't a problem when Obama built the cages. It was a problem when Trump used the cages. But we're already seeing this narrative return about kids in cages. It's coming. Make no mistake about it. They're going to focus on this. They're going to highlight it, and they're going to try and say that we're evil. Don't even pay them any mind at all. This is what we're going to see. It's predictable. And we shouldn't be shocked at this at all. Get ready, though, because what you're going to see next is going to be the images of crying children on the TV news. We haven't seen it yet. They've tried a couple times, and it kind of fell flat. But get ready for that to ramp up over the summer. It's 4 o'clock. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Sumner County, it looks like the pilot died in a small plane crash this afternoon. The pilot, the only person on board. The crash is along Liberty Road near Highway 25. That plane had taken off from Gallatin.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Jurors returning a split verdict today in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, acquitting him on the most serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. The jury finding Combs guilty of prostitution-related charges. ABC legal analyst Brian Buckmeyer says his attorneys are calling for his release.
At the beginning of this case, when Sean Combs was charged with sex trafficking, that is a charge that has the assumption that someone should be held pending prosecution. That assumption is gone now because he's been found not guilty of those two charges.
A bail hearing set for later this afternoon. Attorney Douglas Wigdor is Cassie Ventura's attorney and reacted to the verdict.
Of course, we would have liked to have seen a conviction on the sex crimes in RICO, but we understand beyond a reasonable doubt is a high standard, and we're just pleased that he still faces substantial jail time.
Combs faces up to 20 years in prison. This is ABC News.
Brian Kohberger admitted in an Idaho court today that he was the one who killed 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. And court judge Stephen Hippler read the plea agreement and asked Kohberger a series of questions before a plea was formally entered. We get more from ABC's Kana Whitworth, who was in the courtroom there in Boise.
This is a stunning move that he would accept this plea deal, and when he did. What the judge asked first, though, was, do you admit to these murders? And then he named each one of the victims, and with every name that was read, it was like a striking blow in the courtroom. You could actually see the different family members start to break down, start to sob.
Yeah, Kohberger agreed to plead guilty, which means he does not get the death penalty for the murders of Kaylee Gonclaves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Right now in Murfreesboro, police say they have rounded up a 7th drive-by shooting suspect believed to be involved in a series of such shootings across Murfreesboro recently, one of which injured an innocent 11-year-old girl. Murfreesboro police crediting their new gunshot technology that within seconds of shots being fired, sensors start sending real-time alerts to police. Also, the Real-Time Crime Center using license plate readers to identify any vehicles involved, which in this case, one of the vehicles was a blue Volkswagen sedan. Microsoft firing thousands of workers. Its second mass layoff in months.
Layoff notices going out first thing Wednesday morning. Microsoft not saying how many people are losing their jobs, but admitting it makes up about 4% of its workforce. The cuts will affect several teams around the world, including those in sales and employees in the Xbox video game division. This is the third round of layoffs at Microsoft this year, including its biggest round of cuts, 6,000 people, that happened in May.
That's Sherry Preston and the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a crash reported 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane, also 24 eastbound at near Bell Road. It is really slow going between 65 and Nolensville Pike if you are eastbound 440. Northbound 65 got the usual bumper-to-bumper up to the South Loop downtown, and then eastbound and westbound 24 both backed up due to that crash there. 40 westbound at Fessler's Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.407 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand filling in for Matt Murphy. He'll be back full-time next week. He's actually going to be joining us in the 5 o'clock hour today for the entire hour. Get his sea legs back, before we head into this 4th of July 4-day weekend. I'm wearing a very patriotic hat. If you haven't seen it, you got to go over to Super Talk TV, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe. It's a nice hat. You like the hat?
Yeah, a nice hat.
It's a really nice
It's
hat.
a really nice hat.
It's like the best hat you've ever seen.
I do have a question.
It far surpasses your hat.
It's a similar color.
It is. Big T on yours, too.
So is Matt Murphy going to have a nincompoop for us?
I told him to come prepared with a nincompoop.
Oh, I'm excited. His return.
Yep. So I haven't done that yet. I gotta find me a nincompoop.
Gotta get on top of that.
Maybe the jury in the Diddy trial should be the nincompoop in the news. This has been a wild story. P. Diddy. To be perfectly honest, I haven't paid too much attention to this case because of everything else going on. It took a lower priority. But the fact that this guy got off has just been insane. So let's run through it, shall we? Can we run through the Diddy stuff a little bit? Should we do it? Let's do it. He was facing 5 charges. Count 1 was racketeering conspiracy, which would have gotten him a maximum sentence of life in prison. Count 2 was a sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, minimum sentence of 15 years, maximum life in prison. Count 3 was transportation to engage in prostitution, a maximum sentence of 10 years. Count 4 was sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, minimum of 15 years, maximum of life. And count 5 was transportation to engage in prostitution, maximum sentence of 10 years. What we got was 2 out of the 5. This is how CNN broke it down.
Have the first verdict on count 1, racketeering conspiracy. How do you find the defendant not guilty? And so now they'll move on to count 2. Count 2, how do you find the defendant not guilty? That is the sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura.
That's
on
Cassie.
count 3, which is Mann Act transportation involving Cassie Ventura, guilty. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane, not guilty. Count 5, Mann Act transportation of Jane, guilty. So mixed verdict here. Not guilty on 3 of the charges, guilty on 2 of the charges. Lisa, your reaction?
And it was the lesser of the 5 charges that he was found guilty on. I mean, the big ones: sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion for Cassie Ventura, the one that he beat up in the hotel room, and count 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion for Jane in the case, and count 1, racketeering conspiracy. Those were the big ones, and he got off. The jury spent 13 hours deliberating this over 3 days and only found him guilty on 2 counts. Now, on the Cassie stuff, I was a bit unsure that was going to go through because of the way the defense presented text messages from Cassie, which were the day after the freak-off parties or the day after an incident that occurred where she's talking about how much fun that she had the night before. I'm not here to victim shame. I'm just here to let you know that when you're dealing with a jury, that becomes very much he said, she said, back and forth, right? Like that, and it's in black and white that she was a fan. I get why the jury wouldn't come back guilty on that one. Combs, Diddy, was very happy, smiled in the courtroom, looked relieved as the verdict was read out. He shook hands with one of his lawyers, said thank you to the members of the 8-man, 4-woman jury as they left the courtroom. Judge Arun Subramanian also thanked the jury for their service before dismissing them. You listened, you worked together, you were here every day, rain or shine. You did so with no reward other than the reward that comes from answering the call of public service. Like rah-rah speech by the judge there at the end. What happens next, I think, is going to be a big question. Does Diddy face more charges? A lot of people are saying, yeah, he's absolutely going to face more charges at some point down the road. Mark Elgarash was on Fox News talking about this, and he said that there were some major problems in this case that had been discussed all along.
Stand by, okay, Josh. Mark Iglash joins our coverage too, and Mark, good morning to you. Criminal defense attorney yourself. You've been in and out inside of these courtrooms for some time, and just your initial reaction. There seems to be a bit of surprise that it came back this quickly and it came back this way. What do you think, Mark?
Well, yeah, we thought they'd take a little longer, and especially after the one juror was accused of not playing nicely with the others. Who ever thought he'd ever come together and unanimously agree to any verdict? But I think that some of the major problems which have been discussed all along were real for the jurors. You start with racketeering, typically for all of us, doesn't fit for a guy who's into lube and Astroglide. It's really reserved for Al Capone. And so people think of it that way. And in this case, I don't know if they really felt that he had a criminal enterprise. And I think that's what you're going to hear from the jurors.
Well, then, I mean, I would make the argument that they're wrong. I do like how he said, you think of racketeering, you think of Al Capone, you don't think of the guy with the lube and the Astroglide. Like, yeah, I get that too. But I think the jury is going to have some real moments of hanging their head in shame as they go on with their day.
As it relates to the other two serious counts that he was acquitted of, this was always about consent or whether it was coercion. And there were numerous opportunities I think the jurors are going to find or found that they could have left if they really weren't into it. And yeah, there were times where maybe force was used, but we're not going to find that this was sex trafficking, which also has a different image, for most people when you think of sex trafficking. So it's not uncommon at all. They came to this verdict, and I think in spite of Dawn Hughes's testimony, the expert psychologist who testified, they just didn't believe in the trauma bond, and they found that these women who helped prepare some of these freak-offs, they weren't being trafficked.
So that's kind of where we're at right now. Currently, they're waiting for the bail hearing for Diddy. He may be released before sentencing. And you could make the argument that he should. I mean, you definitely could. His lawyers absolutely could. He got 2 lesser charges. Prostitution is essentially what it comes down to. And he has no previous criminal record. It's going to be tough to keep him locked up. Is he going to face more criminal charges in the future? I think so. Liz Crokin was talking about this. I don't know if you've heard the name Liz Crokin before. She's a journalist that has really been at the forefront of a lot of third-rail topics, whether it's Epstein or Pizzagate or the like. Liz Crokin never shies away from going there. She was on the Benny Johnson show earlier today, and she said, listen, you might feel like Diddy is going to be able to walk free, but she wanted to remind you that something very similar happened to R. Kelly before he eventually got locked up. He was acquitted during his first trial, so maybe we're going to see something similar happen. And they also are saying that there's about 70 lawsuits getting ready to come down on Diddy from other victims.
Again, I know it's not what everybody wants. Everyone wanted to see him guilty on the stronger, heavier charges, on the more serious charges. But as he said, for someone like Diddy, who has managed to escape justice for 3 decades, a man who bragged about paying off jurors, paying off law enforcement. We know that he paid off people at the hotel to get that tape of him beating the crap out of Cassie. Okay? This man has evaded justice for so long because of his money, wealth, power, and fame. And as you know, we have been living in a 2-tier justice system.
Facts.
So when you have a big fish like Diddy get any semblance of justice, someone who has escaped it for so long, it is a victory. It's huge. And as he said earlier, which I completely agree with, is that this Diddy party, this new Diddy party, it's just getting started.
Just getting started. Celebrate the win. Celebrate the win. Liz Crokin's right there. We have had a 2-tier justice system for a very long time in this country. And if you're wealthy, you can get away with a lot more than if you're poor. 100%. A lot of people say, oh, it's a racist legal system. It's like, no, yeah, they care about color. The color is green. Make no mistake about it. But he says this thing's just getting started. And we saw this kind of play out similarly with R. Kelly.
Okay. Diddy is facing lawsuits from over 70 individuals. As Lil Rod said, his suit is still in play. He said they're going to bring back the RICO charges. He's also been accused of many, many more crimes that were not part of this case. And Benny, if you remember, initially when he was charged by the SDNY, it was only, I think, 3 charges. It was a few months ago when they expanded the charges to 5 counts. And as Lil Rod said, he's hearing, and I'm hearing too, that he will be getting more criminal charges. You look at someone like R. Kelly, for example. R. Kelly was tried in 2 courts in 2 different states, and he was first acquitted, and then he was found guilty. So I think this is just the beginning. I think that this is good. There's going to be a much more that we are going to see with Diddy. This story is not over. And as you also mentioned earlier, and he mentioned, was he involved with drug trafficking? Was he involved in sex trafficking of minors? Was he involved with the sex trafficking of migrant children? And I strongly believe that he potentially was involved in all 3.
That's Liz Crokin. Again, if you're not familiar with Liz Crokin, definitely worth a Google over the 4th of July weekend. She has been at the forefront of a lot of this stuff for a very, very long time, and I happen to like her reporting a lot. Mike in Nashville wants to talk about Diddy. What's up, Mike? How we doing, man?
Yeah, how you doing, Chris? Listen, man, there's no surprise, with these celebrities, with Diddy. He has money. If he wouldn't have had money, this guy would have already, they would have already thrown the key away. Let's put it this way, if it was me and you, the key would have already been thrown away.
100%.
You would have been under the jail.
Yep.
But like I said, money is what keeps these type of kids. Like I said, all I needed to see was the video of him dragging her down the hallway after he beat the hell out of her and forced her back into the room, and no telling what he did to her once the door closed to that room. Once he came in, but what the case is, what people are trying to say now, and what Diddy and the people are saying, is saying, why does she keep coming back after all the abuse and the sex parties and all these other things that he took her through? Why was she still continuing to be with this man if she didn't in some way enjoy it or like it or what? So in some sick way, they've talked to people in the past, Chris, women that have been raped or molested by men, and they say, why didn't you call law enforcement? And the women say, because I was scared, because he told me if I did it, he would kill me. And people are like, wait a minute, that's the reason why you call law enforcement, so they won't, so this man can't harm you. But a lot of women believe that even if they get in law enforcement involved, this man can still get to them, especially with somebody as rich and as wealthy as he is. So I don't really blame her for the situation, because Diddy had a lot of power and money, and she felt like even if she got the law involved, she still would be harmed by this person because he already beat the hell out of her, and they'll tell her what else he done to her. Like I said, I don't have no respect for this guy whatsoever.
I'm with you.
At this point, huh?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. Like I said, the Diddy, like I said, if I was the judge, it wouldn't even be a case. It would have been over. It would have been a one-day case. It would have been over after that, and he would have been out, put him under the jail and thrown the key away, and he'd never see daylight again. But unfortunately, in America, like my mom told me a long time ago when I was a kid, Chris, rich people, it's hard for rich people to go to jail. You see, remember when I was young, back in high school, when the O.J. Simpson trial was going on, and, everybody thought for sure O.J. was going to jail, and he ended up walking out of that case. And if he didn't kill his wife, O.J., he know who the hell did it. So, and then the Bill Cosbys and all these other celebrities that have done these heinous acts and still continue to walk the streets of America. So it's really sad that Diddy is not getting the justice that he deserves. Hopefully he still will get the justice he deserves in the future. But it's really a stain on America when a man like that can do something like this and not get the justice he deserves. And I thank you for taking my call.
Hey, of course, Mike, and I appreciate the call. I think you're right on a lot of counts. I would just say celebrate the wins. We did see a very, very rich and powerful man be found guilty of some crimes today. It's gonna cause some real turmoil in his life, and I do believe that more charges are going to come, more lawsuits are being filed. So this isn't the end of the Diddy saga. This is just a blip in the Diddy saga. There's more to come. It's 4:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Sadly, a lot of auto repair companies just don't staff like they should, and Eurofix has a very different business philosophy, and I want to tell you about it for a minute. They staff their locations with more people than the average auto repair shop because they want to be ready for you. Because Aaron Stokes has a motto that they will never be too busy for their customers. It seems kind of plain, right? But sadly, you call a lot of auto repair shops, you have to wait weeks. Not so. At Eurofix, they can take care of your car right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. Some dealers are more than 2 weeks out. But at Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without dealer pricing since 1999, plus a 3-year warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. For 26 years, they've been family-owned. Aaron Stokes and his team can help. 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX or online, myEurofix.com. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Alpha and Omega Computer Consultants. Alpha and Omega is not new to the managed services industry. They have been around serving Middle Tennessee, small, medium, and large-sized businesses with incredible and exceptional IT service and cybersecurity since 1998, and I'm proud to be able to tell you all about them. Their services include 24/7 protection from evolving threats, compliance for all industries, business continuity, fast local help desk support. 70% of cyber attacks target small to medium-sized businesses. If you don't think you can be attacked, you need to call Alpha and Omega and talk to one of their incredible consultants. Because if you call, they can tell you some of the issues that they've seen over the past several years that potentially could come after you. If you're a business owner, 14 successful ransomware attacks happen every day. Think about that. 14 successful ransomware attacks. Call Alpha and Omega to avoid being one of the 14. If you're renewing your annual IT contract, don't settle for the same old support. Alpha and Omega delivers fewer problems, faster response, and service that actually works. Call now for a free quote. Friends, if you're a business owner, you owe it to yourself to have a conversation with our buddies at Alpha and Omega. 615-784-0096. 784-0096, or go to ANDO.net. That's the letter A and the letter O.net.
Diddy's not getting out of jail today. We'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I just saw that come through. That was quick.
Yeah.
Wild stuff. No walking free for Diddy.
No bail for Diddy.
Somebody on the text line had said, what did they say? Said if Diddy gets free, they'll just kill him on the streets, silence him. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen any longer. No. Diddy is not getting out. That just came down. The judge denies the bail request. Cassie says that Diddy is a threat. Well, you could understand why she would say that. She's right. She's 100% right. Plus, he's a flight risk. So I can see why they wouldn't want him out. Tony in Nashville wants to talk about Diddy. What's up, Tony? How we doing, man?
Oh, everything good, man. Out here trying to make my wife some money.
I hear you. What are your thoughts on Diddy?
Well, let's get a few things straight here, really. Let's be real. People calling in, well, 2 tiers of justice if somebody that didn't have money, they'd be in jail. First of all, if you didn't have no money, you wouldn't be in that kind of trouble because you couldn't afford to do what he did.
That's fair, I guess that's fair.
Let's be real about that. Now, the second thing is Diddy a disgusting person? Yes, he is. But what he did, was it against the law? No, it wasn't. It's just like a man committing adultery on his wife. Is he a despicable human being? Yes, he is. Is it against the law? No, it's not.
Wait, hold on. Slow down a second. Go back to your first part about Diddy. Say that one more time, because are you saying that Diddy didn't commit a crime?
This is what I'm saying. When he had all those freak-off parties, the people that was in those freak-off parties was just bigger freak as he was.
I mean, I guess we can say that for now, but the rumors swirl around that there were minors involved, which would absolutely be a crime. The rumors that women didn't want to be there were held there against their will, that's a crime.
Well, here's where I push back on that. You said there are rumors around.
Yeah.
Tell me facts, not no rumors. See?
Okay.
See,
well, I mean,
this is what we want to do. We want to judge people. Now, I'm not trying to defend the guy. Not at all. But what I'm trying to defend is the truth. The truth is, if you're going to say rumors, it's just like accusing somebody about something and don't have no facts. And then you get on here, then you say there's rumors around. Wait a minute. Is it any facts around that happened? That's what we need to do. Because, see, once you throw those statements out there, they stick.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, Tony. I think that Diddy is going to be facing a lot more trouble down the road, and I do think
I ain't got no problem with that.
I think the next charge is
human being.
Yeah, I think
a lot of things that they trying to, just like the RICO law. The RICO law, they putting that in there so they can take his money and everything he got. But he didn't. He's not a crime boss. He's not running a syndicate. None of those things. He ran for pickpocket.
but you're not providing any evidence for that. I mean, like that's just as much of a rumor.
Well,
that's as much of a rumor as me saying that he sexually assaulted Justin Bieber, which has been rumored for years.
Right. Well, that's
do you know what I'm
that's the
saying?
thing
Like
to
you
say
that statement that he's not a crime boss holds as much weight as me
has
saying.
Has it been proven he was a crime boss?
It hasn't been proven he wasn't.
Has it been proven? Well, at the end, he's not a crime boss until they prove he's a crime boss.
Okay, I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see.
I mean, that's just the facts of the law now. Now, do I think he's a despicable human being? You bet you I do. Would I want to hang around him? No, I wouldn't. Neither would I want to hang around those people that participate in all those freak-offs.
Yeah, I hear you, Tony, and I appreciate the call, man. If you guys want to join the conversation, 615-737-9986, 431 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, neighbors tell Channel 4 they didn't hear anything, but are shocked to learn that the pilot of a small plane died when it crashed this afternoon along Liberty Road and Highway 25.
It's pretty crazy because nothing like this ever happens, on this road. But I understand that death is a part of life and freak accidents like this happen, but it is really crazy and really unfortunate that it happened so close to where I live, because that's something that I'd never expect to happen.
Yeah, it's a red plane that went into some trees near a barn. It had taken off from Indiana. Federal investigators have been contacted to investigate. Rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs is going to stay in jail until sentencing on prostitution convictions. He was found not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, the most serious racketeering, and sex trafficking, which were the most serious charges he was facing, but guilty on 2 counts of prostitution. ABC legal consultant Bernarda Villanola explains why.
But in the end, transportation to engage in prostitution, it was in the records, it was in the text messages, it was in the invoices, it was in the escorts that testified.
And again, the judge has denied Diddy bail. He will stay in jail until sentencing. Brian Kohberger admitted in an Idaho court today he was the one who killed 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. In court, Judge Stephen Hippler read the plea agreement, asked Kohberger a series of questions before a plea was formally entered. Here's Alex Stone in Boise.
Quite a moment to hear Brian Kohberger admit to these crimes. He has fought this now for nearly 3 years, admitting to the crime, sitting stoic, barely blinking at all, staring at prosecutors, and then admitting that, yes, he did murder the 4 University of Idaho students.
Yeah, and by pleading guilty, he avoids the death penalty. And right now in Tennessee, Channel 4 says a 4-year-old child tested positive for meth after drinking his mother's bong water. Smithville police called to an emergency room for a report of a child that possibly ingested meth back on June 18th. The child's mother said her son drank leftover bong water that was used to smoke meth that was sitting on her nightstand in her bedroom. The child is at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt for treatment. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a crash reported by TDOT is blocking the right lane, 24 downtown eastbound there at the eastern split. Also, the left lane blocked there, 40 westbound, and a crash right 2 lanes blocked, 40 eastbound at Briley Parkway near the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center wants to see you. Dr. Brian McLaughlin is now in charge of the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, and he comes with the same exceptional credentials as Dr. Stephen Poss, who started the company so many years ago. With 2 locations in Murfreesboro and Brentwood to serve you, if you can't wear a CPAP machine and have mild to moderate sleep apnea, there is an FDA-approved oral device that gently supports your jaw. It helps you be able to breathe better, snore less, without any hose and any mask. Friends, many people have met their insurance deductibles, and if you want to maximize your insurance, don't wait. Start treating your sleep apnea and snoring today. They're in network with BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare. They're a preferred provider with TRICARE for our military. Once again, 2 locations to serve you at your convenience, Brentwood and Murfreesboro. Go see Brian McLaughlin and his team today. At TennesseeSleep.com, you can find out more information. Once again, Murfreesboro and Brentwood, TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com.
.438 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Thank you for listening to the show as I fill in for Matt Murphy. Matt's going to be back next week full time, and he's going to be joining us for the entire 5 o'clock hour today. Really looking forward to that. Hearing from Matt, hanging out with him.
And he's not going to be medicated, right?
Well. Jury's still out on that one. I think that's one of the reasons why he's like, you're gonna steer the ship. Maybe. We'll see. Also, at 6 o'clock, we got Colton McCabe coming in. He is the Tennessee sheriff who was swept up and treated as a political prisoner because of his role in January 6th. We're going to have a good discussion with him at 6 o'clock in the 6 o'clock hour about what freedom looks like in America in 2025. It's going to be a fascinating conversation, one that you're definitely going to want to stick around for. And in the meantime, anything you guys want to talk about, 615-737-9986. I do got some audio that I want to get to about Maha. RFK sat down with Tucker Carlson and just did a fantastic podcast, and I got some clips for you that I would definitely want to run through. Real quick, though, Scott's on the line. He wants to talk about Diddy. What's up, Scott?
Yes. I want to talk about your last caller, Anthony, that doesn't really believe Diddy did anything.
Yep.
Okay. Now, it's been to my experience, and I kind of somewhat know Anthony, and he's a black gentleman. So, and a lot of people base things on race, and they don't really want to believe that somebody of that caliber could be doing such thing because it puts a tarnished image on the whole group. So I'm going to have to disagree with Anthony and say that he's basing the whole thing on race.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. He didn't really bring up race at all.
Of course he didn't, but I know Anthony, and I know he's a black man. So But you make your own judgment call. Y'all have a good day.
I hear you, Scott. I mean, I guess I get what you're saying. I feel like you're doing more the making judgments based on race as opposed to the last caller. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know. Who knows? I do know that RFK's podcast with Tucker Carlson was absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot of clips coming out of it that are just eye-opening. How about this one, for instance? RFK Jr. exposed that none of the vaccines that are administered to children during the first 6 months of life have ever been studied for autism. Seems like that would be a rather important thing to do, no?
It's pretty clear from the VAERS, the self-reporting vaccine injury system, federal system, that vaccine injuries with the COVID vax jumped, to multiples of what had been reported before.
There were more injuries reported from VAERS by the COVID vaccine than all other vaccines put together for the past 36 years. I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of people out there who say, this is part of the consensus. You'll see this on every mainstream, Anderson Cooper, Jake Tapper, all of these guys say again and again that the link between autism vaccines has been debunked. Right? It's been studied. But those studies that I was talking about earlier, the epidemiological studies, they only looked at one vaccine, the MMR, and one ingredient, thimerosal. None of the vaccines that are administered to children during the first 6 months of life have ever been studied for autism.
What? Wait. Oh, so the conspiracy theorists are right again. Isn't that crazy how that always happens? And you're seeing a lot of panic from Big Pharma and the old leaders, the old guard of the CDC, the NIH, the World Health Organization, HHS. They're all very panicked about what RFK is doing in there, what he's uncovering, what he's digging up, how he's going at the science and saying, is this really science after all? You're seeing these old guys kind of pop back up in the news cycle. Anthony Fauci is one of them. Anthony got a nice pardon from Biden on the way out, but he's now warning and saying, the damage that's being done because of RFK, it's going to lead to another pandemic. Guys, we're not prepared for that pandemic. That's what Anthony Fauci wants you to know.
How confident are you that we are prepared for another pandemic?
I think some of the things that are going on right now is diminishing our capability and preparedness. When I got asked, a year and a half ago, what are the lessons learned from the pandemic?
The lessons I learned from the pandemic: don't trust Anthony Fauci. The guidelines that the government were pushing were BS. They really hurt small businesses. They didn't look out for they didn't look out for small businesses. They only looked out for big businesses. I learned a lot. I learned that the CDC, the NIH, the World Health Organization are garbage. We learned so much during the pandemic. What did Anthony Fauci learn?
I divided it into two general buckets: the scientific bucket and the public health bucket.
And he smashed both of those buckets during the pandemic.
So from the scientific standpoint, we did well.
Did we?
My concern is if we diminish the scientific effort and weaken the NIH and weaken the CDC, which is happening, that would make us less prepared from a scientific standpoint.
I would argue that Anthony Fauci did more to weaken the CDC and the NIH than RFK could ever possibly do. RFK is trying to rebuild the credibility of these organizations. He's trying to rebuild it from the ashes that were left to him after Anthony Fauci exited. You understand that, right? Like, everybody understands it. Even guys that used to run the CDC, Robert Redfield, he'll go on the record now and say, the virus was created in a lab. The vaccine shouldn't have been as pushed as hard as it was. These guys destroyed the credibility. RFK is trying to ramp that credibility back up. Rand Paul has confirmed on several occasions that Anthony Fauci will be testifying under oath for his role in the previous pandemic. This was Rand Paul on Newsmax.
For over 3 years to get non-classified records about the decision to fund the research in Wuhan, and it's been denied. But I can tell you, under Secretary Kennedy, under Jay Bhattacharya, The records are beginning to flow. And what we're discovering is, yes, they did debate over whether or not it was gain of function. Fauci said everybody said it was not gain of function. Well, we're going to get to the bottom of this, and ultimately Dr. Fauci is going to need to come back in and explain why he made this decision. There ultimately will be an interview, either voluntarily or involuntarily. If he won't come, he will have to come back and explain to the American people why he decided to fund this research in China. This may be one of the greatest medical errors in modern history. And he bears a large part of the responsibility for this.
Yeah, the only thing I disagree with Rand Paul there in that clip is that he said it's a medical error. It's an error. You know, what was revealed in the RFK Tucker podcast is that there were no errors behind any of this. And RFK Jr. revealed during that interview that Dr. Fauci's money man, the bag man at the University of North Carolina, actually helped him develop a method to erase human fingerprints behind manipulated viruses. This was revealed on that podcast. I think there's a reason why Anthony Fauci has been sweating bullets, because RFK is now at the head of HHS.
He also gave them, one of his fundees, Ralph Barrick from the University of North Carolina, developed a technique called the seamless ligation technique, which is a technique for hiding the laboratory origins of a virus, of a manipulated virus. So that normally, if there's a virus manipulated, you can look at it. You know, researchers can look at it. They can look at the DNA sequences, and they can say this thing was created in a lab. But Ralph Barrick had developed a technique that he called the no-seum technique, and its technical name was seamless ligation. And it was a way of hiding evidence of human tampering. What is the public health rationale? If you were interested in public health, you would want to be doing the inverse of that. You would want to be pinning red flags all to it and say this was created by people.
That's what you would do if you were creating viruses for biological warfare.
Right, that's right. And that's another question, is why would he give it to the Chinese? I mean, that was a military lab. It was run by the military.
Yeah, listen, Fauci has done more to hurt the credibility of these agencies than anyone in American history. Like, let's be in the history of these agencies, nobody has hurt their credibility more than Anthony Fauci. You funded gain-of-function research at the University of North Carolina, right? It was our tax dollars that funded it. When that got shut down, you moved the research to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. When it leaked out of the lab, you shut that conversation down and said, no, it came from a wet market. You shut down people in your orbit that were saying that was gain-of-function research. You lied to the American public about it not being gain-of-function research. Fauci has a lot of questions to answer, a lot. And I don't know about you, I still want to see the guy in handcuffs at some point. He needs to be. He needs to be. We can celebrate all the wins from the Trump administration so far, and we've had a bunch. But does anything really change if we don't hold these evil individuals responsible for what they've done to our country? If we just go, we won, moving on, nothing's going to change. We know step by step by step, us conspiracy theorists, how this whole thing shook out. Now we need to get him on record admitting it. And then we need to hold him accountable. And the guys he works with, I mean, the World Health Organization, I mean, they're still going on record saying that they have no idea how the COVID-19 pandemic began. This is Dr. Tedros.
As things stand, all hypotheses must remain on the table, including zoonotic spillover and lab leak. We continue to appeal to China and any other country that has information about the origins of COVID-19 to share that information openly in the interests of protecting the world from future pandemics.
Oh, please help us. We have no idea how this happened. Carla wants to talk about RFK. What's up, Carla? How are you?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. What do you got?
Well, I just want to say I've got a huge problem with Anthony Fauci, but RFK, he's a bigger problem.
Why is that?
Because he's not a medical doctor. He is not a scientist, never has been either or. I'm going to be 65 years old, and back when I was in school, we took vaccines with the gun. We took multiple vaccines at one time, and no one seemed to suffer. I mean, you obviously.
Well, can I ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it. How old are you, Carla?
I'm going to be 65.
Okay, so under your vaccine schedule as a child, it was like 15. 15. For the vaccines that they want my kids to get now, it's up to 70 if you're going to do all the flu shots.
Yes,
What the vaccine industry has become after 1986 has been a money magnet. That's when the Vaccine Injury Act went into effect. That's when it became big business, and the schedule just ballooned. And they've never tested these vaccines for a link to autism, RFK Jr. revealed. So, I mean, are you going to?
They didn't test them because for years nobody heard of autism. It didn't become anything that we were aware of other than rarely through the 80s and the 90s. So I do agree with you. I mean, the vaccines that they want children to take now are enormous.
Yeah. 100%. But that's what RFK has been saying.
Well, I just believe he's out of his league. I think he's a nut.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. People will tell us RFK is not a doctor, we can't listen to him. And then those same people will say Bill Gates, who's also not a doctor, needs to be trusted.
No, I just.
So I'll take the guy. I'd much rather have the guy that's hiring individuals and putting them into positions that are trustworthy with the expertise, which he's going to say, which he's said numerous times that he's going to lean on, as opposed to the guy that's not skeptical and just wants the money to keep flowing.
Well, I mean, I do agree with you about Bill Gates. But I've watched RFK all his life. He's just a conspiracy theorist. He's a nut.
I mean, you keep saying that, but I feel like that's.
Well,
I feel like the conspiracy theorist thing is a badge of honor at this point. Like it's not the insult you think it is for starters. And RFK has risked everything to speak out against the vaccine industry. He's not doing it because it's beneficial or been beneficial to him. For the majority of his life, this fight has hurt him every step of the way. He's lost family members. He's lost job opportunities. The Democrat Party kicked him to the curb. They kicked him to the curb. Kamala Harris wouldn't even have a meeting with him.
Well, the Democrat Party has a lot to make up to the American public.
I think, Carla, you need to take another look at RFK. I think his intentions here are pure, and I think that he's going to be on the right side of history when this is all shaken out.
Well, I hope you're right, but I disagree. But anyway, I appreciate you taking my call.
Hey, and I appreciate you calling in. It's 4:53 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Deadly plane crash in Middle Tennessee. Diddy denied bail. Idaho college murders, guilty pleas, and a breakdown of the numbers of ICE arrests in Tennessee. These stories and more at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 4:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We are patiently awaiting the arrival of one Matt Murphy via Zoom link, so that way he can join us live for the 5 o'clock hour. Rant pants are officially on for Matt Murphy. I have received confirmation, and he is ready to let everybody know what he thinks about these past 2 weeks. He's joining us after Ken Weaver's newscast. It's 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and right now in Middle Tennessee. Channel 4's Jordan James on the scene of a small plane crash in Sumner County, which killed the pilot, the only person on board today.
In checking with flight logs from flight radar, it appears that the plane was coming from Indianapolis, Indiana, when it went down just outside of Gallatin as it was attempting to land at Music City Executive Airport, which is about 8 miles from where I'm standing. Now, I can tell you that the FAA and NTSB both have been contacted and will be looking into the cause of the crash. First responders could be out here over several hours, so they're encouraging folks to stay out of the area.
Yeah, the small plane went down into some trees near a barn along Liberty Road and Highway 25. Sean Diddy Combs is going to stay in jail. ABC Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky explains from outside the federal courthouse in New York City he'll remain behind bars, denied bail until October for sentencing.
I think he was anticipating that he would be released following the mixed verdict, especially the acquittal on all of the violent crimes. But the judge immediately sat down at the bench, started reading his decision, saying bail is denied. He would not be released prior to sentencing because the judge said his incarceration is required based on what he was convicted of.
So Combs convicted on 2 prostitution charges, but acquitted of the most serious of the charges he faced, racketeering and sex trafficking. Meanwhile, in an Idaho courtroom today, Brian Koberger admitted he murdered 4 college students nearly 3 years ago, barely blinking at all, staring at prosecutors, admitting that, yes, he killed them.
Have you had enough time to decide whether or not to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Given your choices, do you believe it's in your best interest to plead guilty?
Yes.
Have you discussed fully the matter of pleading guilty with your attorney, and are you satisfied with the advice you've received?
Yes.
Pleading guilty allows Koberger to avoid the death penalty. Right now in Tennessee, the federal government claims around 80% of those arrested by ICE in the state this year have either had a criminal conviction or a pending criminal charge. News 2 reports the new numbers obtained through a public records lawsuit and released by the Deportation Data Project at the University of California, Berkeley, shows that ICE has arrested 2,695 people in Tennessee this year through June 10th. And of those arrested, 44.5% were convicted criminals. 35.7% had a pending criminal charge, and 19.7% had no criminal charge. Lululemon going to court suing Costco, the athletic wear company accusing Costco of selling knockoff versions of several of Lululemon's hoodies, jackets, and pants. Alexandra Roberts is a professor of law and media at Northeastern University.
There are some plausible claims here. It's not that surprising that Lululemon brought them, particularly given Lululemon's design patents and trade dress registrations.
Yeah, in the lawsuit filed in the Central District of California, Lululemon says Costco has chosen to copy rather than compete. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a crash reportedly blocking the left lane, 40 westbound, just past the I-24 40 split. That is just east of downtown. Then got a crash on the right shoulder near the airport. This is going to be 40 eastbound right before Briley Parkway. Looking at some of the other slowdowns right now, it is especially stop and go for a little bit there, eastbound 440. From 65 over to Nolensville Pike, trying to get over to 24. And then east and westbound 40 in between downtown and the eastern split is just slow going as usual. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.507 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand, in for Matt Murphy, who will return fully next week. Well, not fully. Still missing a shoulder. He's got a Chinese one. And he's live now with us. What's up, Matt?
What's happening, Hand?
Not
What's
much,
going on?
man.
Everybody doing well?
We're doing good, man. We miss you. How you been?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm recuperating. I'm doing well. Everything's going fine. Thanks to all of the kind and well wishes from all of the listening audience. It's good to be on with you. This is the most that I've spoken in the better part of 2 weeks, so it should be interesting.
Dude, I'm excited. What are you most excited to discuss? Because I don't know if you've noticed, a lot has happened in the 2 weeks you've been off.
No, there's been nothing going on. It's summertime. What are you talking about, Chris?
This is the slow time. I remember a couple years ago we had a missing submarine for a couple weeks. It seems like those days are long gone.
Yeah, that was fun.
What are you paying attention to?
Hold on, stand by. I have to use my right hand to reach across me to turn my microphone down a little bit because I think I'm too loud. Am I too loud, Jackson?
I didn't think so.
You're good, buddy. You don't think I'm good? Okay, thanks. By the way, I was listening to you a little bit earlier, and I believe that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is Donald Trump's apology for believing Anthony Fauci.
I think so too.
That's what I think he is.
Base take. I like that take.
I mean, Donald Trump, not Donald Trump Jr., but Donald Trump has demonstrated that he's never going to apologize. It's not in his nature, right? He believes in moving forward, not back. He does not believe in apologies. He believes apologies are weakness. And, there have been occasions where I've said, maybe he should have said, hey, my bad on certain things. Not a lot, but on some things. But I think his reliance on the medical community, his reliance on the NIH and the CDC and other organizations that he, I think, even at that time, truly believed were nonpartisan. I think his reliance on some of their advice in the first 3 or 4 months of COVID, I think he's truly sorry for that. And I think his way of apologizing to the American people was to nominate Robert Kennedy Jr.
I'm 100% with you, man. I think that's a good take. And I think RFK is actually going to do a lot to restore the credibility to those organizations.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What else are you paying attention to?
I mean, I've been watching the Big Beautiful Bill like everybody else. I mean, I'm pleased. Look, I'm not a fan of this bill. I'm on record as saying that I'm not a fan of this bill. I believe that we have very few opportunities in our lives to see government actively work to shrink itself. I do not believe that it's in a government's nature to shrink itself. I think government's nature is to grow. And we've watched that under Republican administrations and Democrat administrations, under Donald Trump, under his first administration. A lot of that's COVID, but still, it grew nonetheless. I think we get very few opportunities like this, and I don't know that the Republicans are taking full advantage of it. I think Donald Trump wants, obviously the big pieces of what he wants are very, very important. Immigration is very, very important.
Yep.
Tax abatement is very, very important.
Yep.
All of those pieces are very important. I just don't, and I don't blame Trump for any of this. I say that I don't believe the Congress, the conservatives in Congress, have done enough to convince the moderate Republicans that they are serious about cutting government to the point that we get more a bite of this apple. I don't think we'll get a bite next year. We'll get a bite 2 years from now, maybe. I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity to get a bite like this. So I'm not a fan of it. However, I'm a fan of getting it passed. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you. Like, is it going to be more spending than we want? Absolutely. Is there going to be things in there we don't like? Certainly. But I already think that was kind of baked into the cake. So I look at it as a vehicle for the Trump mandate. You know, getting that border security done, we're not going to have another opportunity, another swing at this. That's massive, absolutely massive. Getting the tax cuts done, massive. Accomplishing the promises that we saw over the campaign needs to happen. Everything else is like, but I'm just going to lean on Trump and his team and trust him. I mean, I made the point that last week, and the week before, I was very against any kind of Iran intervention. I couldn't see a path where that wouldn't lead to a long-term Middle East quagmire. And I was wrong. I didn't trust the man when I should have. And so with the big, beautiful bill, I'm just leaning in with a lot of trust on this, that it is going to accomplish what they say and that their estimates are correct as opposed to the CBOs, that this is actually going to save us some money.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the tariffs and some of the negotiated deals that Trump's going to that he's currently making. I think he just made one with Vietnam, and there have been many other nations.
And he got Vietnam. He got Vietnam to agree to 40% tariffs, and they say that that's because China was routing a lot of products through Vietnam.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're right. So I mean, it's some of the deals are dramatic, even for Trump supporters like you and like me. So I understand that all of these things will lead to a better economy for the United States of America. My point, and I understand economic growth can mitigate the spending,
right.
But economic growth mitigating the spending isn't cutting government spending that shouldn't be there in the first place. So those two things are different, so I can hold my water. It's a good thing I'm not in Congress, Chris. I don't know if I were in Congress if I'd vote for it. But I'm not, luckily. Now, if I were advising people in Congress, I would say, look, we have gotten this far along. Let's vote for this. Let's get the good that's out of this. But let's understand that this is not the end of the war. This is the beginning of the battle.
Yeah.
And if you believe, like I do, that government overspending is the greatest long-term threat to the United States of America, then you've got to continue pushing that fight. I don't think you Massie the thing. I think Thomas Massie becomes a clown the way that he acts and the way that he reacts. And I think when you begin to be taken unseriously, that's when you lose your fight. If you are Thomas Massie, or if you're a supporter of Thomas Massie listening to Chris and I, and you think his principles are right, and I largely agree that his principles are right,
I do too.
But you don't win the fight the way that he's fighting it. You become a clown show that people dismiss as useless. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that if the Republicans, now, maybe they lose the majority in the midterms. I mean, that often happens regardless of how well things are going. But if things are going well enough that if they gain 5 or 6 or 8 more seats in the House of Representatives, does Thomas Massie become more important or less?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I don't think you win fighting the way that he's decided to fight. And Rand Paul similarly in the United States Senate. So I've been watching the big, beautiful bill and the debates on it. I am fascinated with the idea, because if you had told me, 2 months ago that they get this done by 4th of July, that the president of the United States of America has the ability to sit down on America's birthday and sign one of the greatest pieces of legislation, for all of its faults. I mean, there's so many great parts in this that I'm not going to fight against it, even though I don't necessarily think I would vote for it. And if that makes me a hypocrite, so be it. But if you had told me 2 months ago that Trump gets to sit down, let's say on America's birthday, and sign this legislation, I would have called you silly. But he might be able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a chance. I kind of want to go back to Massie for a second. When we talked about the big, beautiful bill, I said, listen, overspending and things we don't like, that's baked into the cake. I think Thomas Massie not wanting to vote for it was also baked into the cake. What do you make of Donald Trump trying to finesse him by threatening primary challengers and the like? when a guy like Lindsey Graham gets a roaring endorsement. And I'm like, why would we endorse Lindsey Graham, but then we're threatening to primary Thomas Massie again when he's doing something that we knew he was going to do?
I feel like Lindsey Graham and Donald Trump have remember that little video meme that went down after Elon and Trump had their rift where, Elon went to Mars and, Trump was here on Earth, but they both missed one another, but they weren't talking. And I feel like there's a little bit of that going on with Lindsey and Trump. I think Trump kind of likes Lindsey when Lindsey's on his side on an issue, but he really, really dislikes him when he's not. But he tends to give him a public pass. Massie's not going to get that same kind of public pass because I don't think that Trump believes that Massie is an alpha dog. And what I've noticed with Donald Trump in the time that he's been in political life is the thing that he hates the most is someone coming into his field of vision that thinks they're an alpha dog that isn't. And if he sees that type of animal, he is going to jump that animal. He does it time and time and time again, and he's doing it with Massie. Whether it's successful or not, I don't know. But I think it's baked into the cake with Donald Trump that if he doesn't believe you're alpha and you start acting like you're alpha around him, he's going to show you otherwise.
I could see that happen. I actually can see that a lot, the way you broke it down. Do you think that Elon gets behind Massie in a primary kind of situation?
And does
that make any does that actually change anything? If Elon does, like, even scale it out, if Elon puts a lot of money behind a third party, does that change anything in America?
I don't even think it's a money thing with Thomas Massie at this point, though. So I don't know that money would put Massie over the top in a congressional race in a way that he would not get pushed over the top. Anyway, I think it's just a philosophical thing. If I don't know his district well enough to answer the question, if another $5 or $10 million or a blank check from Elon Musk would mean that Massie wins as opposed to loses. I think it really all depends on who's primarying him, and it depends on what their. I think that's all a message campaign. I don't think it's a money campaign as much. So but I don't even know that Elon would do that. I mean, Elon's got his lip poached out, but I mean that relationship between Elon and Trump. I mean, it's pretty unique in its dynamic, but I think it's becoming a little bit predictable in that Elon's going to fuss and fight, and he has the gravitas to kind of be. He is really an alpha male in Donald Trump's sphere. And he was subservient to Donald Trump in as much as he believed in what Donald Trump was trying to accomplish, believed in the man, and was given the ability to really focus on the things that he thought government needed fixing, and that he was the guy to fix it. And when he became useless to Donald Trump, and I don't mean to put it in this cut and dry terms, but I think it's true that when he became, I've always said that Trump, views people as you're a friend, you're an enemy, or you are useless and in the way in a lot of ways. And you can become an enemy. A friend can become an enemy depending on the day of the week and depending on the issue that we're talking about. And he became an enemy to Trump. I know that Elon's talking about third party and all of those sorts of things. And maybe that takes hold in the next presidential election, but I don't think it's going to carry any weight if the good parts of this bill do what we believe they're going to do. Because ultimately, kind of circling back to my fear on the debt and my frustration with the big, beautiful bill, people like to talk about how they really care about the deficit, but 90% of Americans really don't.
Right.
And I can care as much as I want, but if 90% of Americans don't, then politicians aren't going to either. And so if they see tangible results in their wallets, tangible results at the border, tangible results when it comes to foreign policy initiatives that bring peace to the Middle East, which is another aspect of Trump's week that I want to talk about because, that's just been, you alluded to it because it's been fascinating. If they see those results, I don't think any third-party challenge will matter because I think people will give credit to those in Trump's orbit in 2028 regardless.
All right, I want to get to your take on the Middle East. Let's stop down for a break real quick, and we'll do that on the other side. It's 5:20, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Deadly plane crash. Diddy denied bail. Idaho college murders guilty pleas. And a Tennessee man has been sentenced in a plot to kill FBI agents. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So as soon as I hear Ken start talking, I see this smile come across the face of Matt Murphy on the Zoom link. You missed that buttery smooth voice of Ken Weaver, didn't you, Matt?
Ken Weaver.
Brother Murphy, I'd give you a big old hug right now if I could see you.
Oh, I love you,
I can't
Ken
see
Weaver.
you, but we're not in person.
Well, I mean, I'll be there next week.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
all things go well. First day of PT's Monday.
Yes, sir.
You know, visit with the surgeon and then PT right after, and then I should be up there promptly by at least 2:59 and 30 seconds. So. And hopefully I can make it through 4 hours. But I miss you, brother Ken.
I haven't won a Ninkham since you left.
Oh, his hands just probably racking.
Well, him and Jackson both.
Jackson's been on a tear, man. He's been
I
on a
have.
tear.
I've got a special rule dispensation on Ninkham in the news today.
Okay.
You know, and I'm just going to ask the panel if they will allow it. I've got 3. Just in case. I don't want to bring one up and then you guys go, oh, we did that one 3 days ago, because I've been blind out of my mind on OxyContin. So I've got 3, and I just want you to give me the ability, if I bring one up that you've already had, to go to the next one.
It's
the big beautiful nincompoop.
We'll have to go to the Council of Nincompoops to
And by the way,
decide that.
I don't mean to take over. It's weird for me. I don't mean to take over my own show, Chris, but if I may, thank you. I just want to thank you for instilling in the minds of the Super Talk family that my shoulder came from China, and I just want to remind everyone that Chris came from Canada.
Oh, okay. There
I
it
want to
is.
remind everyone, and we're just going to reinstill false narratives in the minds of the listening audience. Chris Hand, born and raised Canada.
In my best Dan Mandis voice. Okay, moving on. Matt Murphy, what is your take on Donald Trump and how he handled Iran in the Middle East? Give me your rundown.
Well, I mean, I don't think it could have gone better. I think this has been my favorite aspect of all of this. That in the aftermath of what was clearly a master stroke militarily,
amen,
by a guy who does not do these things lightly, who does not believe in engaging in a way that's going to embroil America into another foreign conflict. And we've seen this in the past, and I've talked about it, and I know you have, and Dan and Chad, that, when he struck Soleimani, he did so with precision and then got out of there. When he does these things, when he destroyed ISIS, when he first came into office, he destroyed ISIS and then he left.
Yep.
He has no interest in sticking around, hanging around for years to come, as you call them, forever wars. I don't like the term, but I get it. I understand what you mean, is embroiling ourselves in another conflict that only enriches the military-industrial complex and nothing else, right? So he does this. And it's an obvious, within 24 hours, even the blind can see. Mm-hmm. And I understand that Democrats are never giving him credit for anything. But you turn on CNN, and they are literally arguing about the fact that he used a word, obliterated. Are you kidding me? So the main focus of your conversation for hours and hours and hours on end at ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, and of course #NeverSeenIt, your focus is going to be that he used a word that you don't like, instead of focusing on the fact that the central source of terrorism on planet Earth has been taken out as a nuclear power for the foreseeable future. You're telling me that you hate Donald Trump more than you hate Iran. You hate Donald Trump more by extension than you hate terrorists.
It's made them, and we've seen this so many times. They cheered to have the economy crash. They cheered to have his border security failed, and they cheered for the terrorists. Time and time again, we see that.
I mean, it just demonstrates. When it first came up, and we talked about Trump derangement syndrome years ago during the first term. It was fun. It was like a talk radio thing.
Yeah.
Right when it first came up, and I'll admit, I did it because it was funny, and it was, these people have Trump. No, they really do. I mean, this is really a psychosis in them that they cannot man. I mean, I wrote some of these down. I just want to look at this note to make sure. This week alone, right? There's been the incredible victory with the Iranian strikes and the ceasefire announcement. There was the commitment. NATO committed to 5% funding.
Huge.
His victories at the Supreme Court, his African peace deals.
Yep.
Obviously already on top of the economy rebounding, on top of the fact that immigration is under control at the border, and he got his big, beautiful bill passed in the Senate. And Democrats can't give him credit for anything. And it's just a fascinating piece of psychology that they are so dug into their Trump hatred that they can't see that by extension America benefits when some of these things are successful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that Rwanda-Congo war that he ended, man, this isn't Iran-Israel with jets and missiles. They were using machetes and rocks.
Oh yeah. They were cutting people's arms off and heads off and all of that. And did you see? It just came up to me that I'm sure that you played the audio of Scott Jennings destroying this idiot on #NeverSeeItEnd. I mean, Jennings is just an absolute American treasure. But she's like, well, it's not like they actually reached a deal. Trump is just lying when he says they reached a deal. And he's like, they literally were standing in the White House yesterday. And his line was, he was like, maybe you should watch the news before you comment on the news.
Hold on. I know it's going to take us late. But this is that clip from Scott Jennings.
Jobs not done. A foreign minister from Rwanda told CNN, he said he's committed to supporting this ongoing negotiation, but warned that ending the conflict will depend on political will and the good faith. And he doesn't know if that is true, referring to the DRC's government. It's not done.
You didn't watch the news yesterday. They literally announced it in the Oval Office.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This is indeed a historical day.
I mean, they literally announced it there. What are you doing?
Like, what are you talking about, lady? I was like, how do you just not laugh these people off? But you know what? It is TDS, and it continues, and you know, we have learned as people that love the United States of America, just almost, I would say at this point, almost half of the political left can just be discounted as nutcases.
Yep.
And you just dismiss Joy Reid can just be dismissed into the waste bin of history. Those types of people can just be dismissed.
Oh, I love Joy Reid. Who doesn't?
Oh, well, I mean, content abounds.
5:32, Ken Weaver's newscast, then Nincompoops in the news with our own Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and at least one person is dead after a small plane crashed in Sumner County this afternoon. That plane ended up nose down into some trees near a barn along Liberty Lane and Highway 25. It had taken off from Indianapolis and was attempting to land in Gallatin when it crashed, killing the pilot, the only person on board. Sean Diddy Combs denied bail. Chief investigative correspondent Darren Katursky explains from outside the federal courthouse in New York City. Combs remains behind bars, denied bail until October for sentencing on the only charges he was convicted, prostitution.
Sean Combs entered court just a moment ago looking upbeat. He greeted his family who crammed into the gallery, all in one bench, his mother, sons, twin daughters. And I think he was anticipating that he would be released following the mixed verdict, especially the acquittal on all of the violent crimes. The judge said the defense did not make any successful arguments to say that expectation should be overridden.
Brian Kohberger admitted in Idaho court today he was the one who killed 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. We get more from ABC's Kano Whitworth in Boise.
This is a stunning move that he would accept this plea deal, and when he did. What the judge asked first, though, was, do you admit to these murders? And then he named each one of the victims, and with every name that was read, it was like a striking blow in the courtroom. You could actually see the different family members start to break down, start to sob.
Yeah, Kohberger agreed to a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. And the big, beautiful bill update, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House.
Making progress. I mean, good conversations, and I think I'm hopeful we can proceed tonight and get this done.
I'll try to do it tonight, he says. And here in Tennessee, a man convicted of a plot to kill FBI agents has been sentenced to life in prison. 36-year-old Edward Kelly of Maryville was accused of planned attacks on the Knoxville FBI office using car bombs, incendiary devices attached to drones, and planned assassinating FBI employees in their homes and in public places such as movie theaters. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a car on fire. It is partially blocking the westbound on-ramp from Briley Park, actually to Briley Parkway from Ellington Parkway. Then in Smyrna, we got a crash blocking the right lane, 24 eastbound past Sam Ridley Parkway. Berry Hill, a crash is blocking the right 2 lanes of 65 northbound before I-440. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, a direct pay format. Why is that important? One, it helps you know exactly what you're spending on your medical care when you go to the doctor. Number two, they never let insurance companies get in the way between you and the doctors that serve you at Grace Point Healthcare. That's important to me, and it should be important to you, and I think it is, because you want to make sure that the doctor's making decisions that are right for you, not right for the insurance company. Plus, Grace Point Healthcare treats the whole body with comprehensive medicine and a comprehensive approach. They get to the root of the problem. They don't just address the symptoms. Also, no wait times at Grace Point. You call, and oftentimes you get in same day or next day, even for brand new patients. Give a call and see the Grace Point difference. They're located in the heart of Franklin, 599-6868. That's 599-6868. You really can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience. It's Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
540 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I'm filling in for Matt Murphy, and my guest at this time is Matt Murphy. Wait, what? What?
It's weird.
It's weird, right? It doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I've been monitoring the text line as I often do during the commercial breaks, but I feel like I'm going to start monitoring it more during the Murphy Show just to watch the interaction between you and everybody on the text line.
4842 hates me.
I know.
Absolutely hates me. I mean, he's hated me for months and months. I mean, he's been mad at me forever. I don't even know why.
He's consistent. He's consistent though.
I genuinely don't. I mean, he said I wasn't a true conservative. And I'm like, Bud, you got to listen harder. I've never claimed to be a conservative. I don't claim to be a conservative. I don't claim to be a Republican. So, I mean, I don't even know why he's mad at me. I really don't.
My favorite part, though, was how you guys ended. He said, glad you're feeling better, bud. You know, that's so nice. You know,
no, I said, I told him, no, he's lobbying. I say he wants Chris in the afternoon slot, which one of these days, let's be honest, Chris is going to be in the afternoon slot. Because he's far better at this than I ever was, but at his age. But anyway, so and he's like, oh, Chris, and I'm like, okay, man, you know, it's all just keep the radio on it. We appreciate you, and I'm trying to play nice. And he's grumpy about it all. And then finally, I was like, you got to complain harder, bud. And I said, take it easy, have a good Fourth. And he's like, it's on my list of things to do. You do the same, man. Glad you're feeling better. There you go.
One thing I noticed, though, is that were you unaware of what the Ice Block app was?
No, you know what? I wasn't. I was unaware that it was called the Ice Block. I knew that there was an app that people were passing around to try to out ICE agents, but I did not realize that it was called the Ice Block.
I got to give you something, man. This is you're going to have like a proud dad moment for your audience. So we were talking about the Ice Block app the other day. And somebody, a loyal listener to you, Matt Murphy, in the afternoon came up with the best idea. They said, let's just flood the zone with fake reports. So this audience, your audience, has spent the last 2 days flooding the zone on the Ice Block app with fake reports of ICE all over Middle Tennessee.
Right, because if they're all, yeah, right. If everybody's ICE, nobody's ICE.
Exactly. And then it's actually scaled out. This wasn't just an idea that one person had. It's happened in many other cities. This app is essentially useless now.
Well, and that's the way to combat it, right? That I think we should be very careful to combat exercise of free speech that is used in a way like this. I think we should be careful to over-respond. In other words, to be a little more draconian in our enforcement efforts of the ability to speak freely. I think it's wrong if I think this is a bad example because I think in the state of Tennessee, oddly, they're required to announce them. But if I know that there's a DUI checkpoint down my street, if I go online and I'd say to everybody, hey, there's a DUI checkpoint down the street, am I in some way impeding the law? Well, I might be impeding what they're attempting to accomplish, but I'm not putting them in danger. And I think that's where you cross the line.
Yep.
Is when you're actively putting law enforcement in danger by your efforts. And I think that's the line you can't cross. And so I think there needs to be a careful examination as to whether or not that type of doxing is a free speech violation or not.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. Hey, it's time for everybody's favorite segment on the Matt Murphy Show. This is Nincompoops in the News.
Nincompoops in the News.
I don't know. We need to ask 4842 if this is okay with him. If this segment, if he's okay with this one.
I love it. I'm not sure who's leading the dance, Matt. I feel a little bit awkward.
You should lead. No, you're the host.
No,
I'm
man,
just a guest right now.
I feel like you should just take the lead on this.
Well, I mean, I got a couple of them. My thing is, and as we said earlier, I've been out of the game for here a day or so, and I feel a little bit at a disadvantage. I don't want to get DQ'd on my first day back on Nincompoop, so I brought up 3 different stories.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's fair. I got DQ'd my first day filling in. And do you have any idea? Do you have any idea the kind of abuse that I took when I got home? My 7-year-old son saw me and he said, "You got DQ'd?" And then he started waving his hand in front of his face going, you can't see me. And I'm like, are you doing a John Cena thing? He's like, and he just kept doing it. It was demasculating.
And by the way, I have a message for your lovely wife. I'm doing my best Dan Mandis here. Your lovely wife, Victoria.
Yes.
I have a message for her that I'll have Virginia know. That when you guys are up in age and you're gray and you're wrinkled and you're old, you're going to have wonderful children taking care of you.
True.
And that will be your reward for this this dental trip that you're taking. And meanwhile, Matt Murphy's going to be at some nursing home somewhere that he can barely afford, begging people to change out his bedpan.
She was so funny today, dude. She said, I don't feel bad. I said something like, oh, I feel bad for Murphy. He's still going through it. She goes, I don't feel bad anymore. I got to take 4 kids to the dentist by myself today. My empathy for Matt Murphy stopped yesterday.
Wow. I wouldn't want to do that on any day ever with help. So, yeah, I can sympathize. I say we let Ken Weaver go first because he's my favorite.
Let's go, Ken, with that buttery smooth voice.
Well, we're suspending the rules then because I haven't won since you got your new shoulder, Brother Murphy.
Oh.
But that's okay. That's not your fault. That's mine. All right, here we go. Naked man arrested in Shenandoah, Wyoming on Friday. Police said they were dispatched to a report of a naked man chasing people. The caller said her friend had told her a naked man was outside. The caller went outside and confronted Collins, who told her, you want some of these goods? The woman said no. Collins walked back to his car. Police said the caller's 8-year-old child was standing in the doorway, saw every bit of it.
Oh.
Monzel Marcellus Collins faces a felony charge of corruption of minors and misdemeanor charges of indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and open lewdness. He was arraigned on Friday, posted $25,000 bail. Preliminary hearing is set for July 10th. We'll follow up on that to see how Marcellus does in the courts. He might tell the judge, you want some of these goods?
You want some of this?
Yeah.
Let's go, Jackson. Come on.
What's up, buddy?
What's happening?
Nothing much. I also have a naked man in police custody after attempted robbery and assault in Raleigh, North Carolina. A naked man has been accused of attempted robbery on Tuesday. Around 2:30, Raleigh police were called to the 4100 block of Atlantic Avenue for a suspicious person. The police said 2 people reported the man attempted to rob them while he was nude. When police arrived on the scene, officers said they found a man and a woman that reported a naked man approached them with a wooden post. The man told police he had just gotten out of
Is that what he had?
The man told police
he had a weapon, I'll use it.
Just gotten out of his car and locked it when the suspect approached him, demanded he drop everything he has, including his pants, and give him access to the car. After complying with the suspect, the man said the suspect assaulted him with the wooden post. According to police, the suspect also approached a woman eating lunch in her car. She told them the suspect hit her in the arm with the wooden post before pulling her out of the car and attempting to drive away.
How long was the wooden post?
Respectable.
Story doesn't say. He wanted a post fight, like sword fighting, post fighting.
It was respectable, Murphy. It wasn't cold outside.
Officers said the length was respectable.
He was naked. Well, did he have a weapon? Well, he said he had a weapon. We didn't see one. What?
2 weapons.
My, oh my. All right, let me ask you this question. Has anybody done a story about a lottery winner?
Not that I recall.
No.
All right, then I got it. All right. File this under the heading of "It could have happened to a nicer guy." It could have happened to a nicer guy. In the 2 months since winning a Powerball ticket catapulted him into the 1%, James Farthing has spent most of his time residing in Florida and Kentucky. Specifically, in Florida and Kentucky, in jail. On April 28th, Farthing claimed a $167.3 million jackpot, the largest in Kentucky lottery history. He purchased the winning $2 ticket at a convenience store in Georgetown, a city that he shares an address with Linda Grizzle, his 77-year-old mother. Flanked by Grizzle and his girlfriend, a beaming Farthing was presented with an oversized check by lottery officials who announced the mother and son would split the lottery winnings. Farthing, 50 years of age, was not quoted in the Kentucky press release, but he was identifiable by his middle name, Shannon Farthing, Following the Powerball announcement, Farthing and his girlfriend flew to a beachfront resort in Florida to celebrate his good and immense fortune. Before traveling south, however, Farthing failed to take care of one crucial matter. Anybody want to guess what that is? Getting permission from his parole officer. That's right. Farthing has been categorized as a persistent felony offender by Kentucky law enforcement officials. He has, I won't go over all of this because I don't think we'd have enough time to get to Chris. He has a 16-page rap sheet.
Goodness.
A criminal record that spans 35 years and includes convictions in at least 9 counties and from every corner of Kentucky's penal code. According to court records, they would not have known that he violated parole had he not gotten into an altercation in Florida that ended up with him hitting a man in his face and fighting with police when they came to the scene to figure out what the hell was going on. Farthing has been locked up in at least 25 different correctional institutions where he has spent in aggregate 30 years in custody. During that time, Farthing continued to commit crimes while incarcerated and compiled a prison disciplinary record rife with assaults, narcotics possession, loan sharking, gambling, drug smuggling, positive tests for alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, depressants. I wouldn't even know where to get this stuff now, out in the open. He can get it in jail. So anyway, suffice it to say, he was booked in Florida. He was flown back to Kentucky. As soon as he finishes his time for parole violation in Kentucky, he will fly back to Florida. He will face those charges, and eventually he will get booked for that as well. No word on what his girlfriend is doing with his money.
That's insane. All right. Real quick, I'm going to take us to Houston, Texas, all right? This happened on Sunday at about 2:20 in the afternoon. A gentleman was spotted at the local mall trying on sunglasses, and he's like, he's looking at some designer shades. He decided to run away with one of those pairs of designer shades, and at the same time, hang out at the mall. So he stole the sunglasses, and he decides to hang out at the mall. Now, there was an off-duty officer working a second job, and I don't want to bury the lead. I don't think police officers should be working second jobs. I think they should be paid more. But he's working a second job at the mall, spots the guy, and starts chasing him. During that chase, the suspect said, I know how I'm going to get away. I'm going to jump from the second-story balcony.
Nice.
He landed on an ice skating rink inside the mall.
Oh, it's got to hurt.
At which point, his legs turned into slinkies and compressed.
Yeah.
And he was taken hit his wooden post.
He was taken into custody while laying on his back in the middle of the skating rink because he could not walk. Officers did not comment when they asked if his legs were broken.
Wow.
I think they are.
I would imagine.
Well, way to go, Jackson.
He can take off those shades because his future's not that bright.
Whoa.
I like that, Weaver. That's a good pull. Don't help him win Ninkham. See, this is what your problem is, Weaver. You're helping the guy win.
I keep helping everybody.
Who you got? Text into your vote, 615-737-9986. We'll be back with the winner of Nincompoops in the News when we return. 5:53, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Diddy denied bail. Details coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. It is 5:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand in for Matt Murphy. My guest this hour is Matt Murphy, and we are tallying the votes from Nincompoops in the news currently. There's a lot of votes today, man. A lot of votes.
Who's
By the way, well, can I say while we're tallying the votes that I just want to talk to Ken Weaver for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Ken, I sincerely appreciate Chris Hand, and I mean this.
Oh, yes.
I just want to talk in front of him, filling in for me, and for Brian Wilson filling in for Chris, and
Yes,
for
sir.
Chad doing the job yesterday. I know that there was a little split duty there. There was extra duty there. And I just thank everybody for having my back when my back was down. But I
Yes,
want you to know something, Ken.
What's that?
Chris Hand will never be filling in for me again. See, I have this hard and fast rule, Ken. I have this hard and fast rule that if the host that's filling in for me is too good, I can't have any of that. I can't have any of that near my show. So he's got to go. He's got to get out of here.
You got to watch that brother Chris Hand.
I don't think you have to worry about that. I don't think you have to stress.
It's been too good.
All right, so I have been tallying the votes, and I got to say, Weaver's in 4th place, Jackson's in 3rd. I came in 2nd.
Sympathy, yes.
The
Shoulder
champion.
sympathy.
He will be coming
I'll
back
take
to the
it.
Matt Murphy Show on Monday as the reigning champion for Nincompoops in the news.
Way to go,
That's 4
brother
in a row
Murphy.
for Murphy.
I'll take it, baby.
That's way to
Listen, there was a time back in the day when I couldn't buy a vote. But, I'll take it. I'll take the sympathy.
Hey, Matt, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you, and just feel better, buddy, all right? Enjoy your 4th of July.
Thank you, and have a great Independence Day. Everybody have a wonderful and safe Independence Day, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. And, hey, on the way after Ken's newscast, Colton McCabe, J6 political prisoner, is going to be joining me in studio. We're going to have a discussion ahead of the 4th of July break about freedom with a guy who knows how quickly it can be taken away from you. It's 6:01. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Sumner County, one person is dead after a small plane crashed into some trees near a barn. This is along Liberty Road near Highway 25. Happened around 1 o'clock today. The only person on board was the pilot who died. The plane had taken off from Indianapolis and was attempting to land in Gallatin when it went down. Rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs found not guilty of racketeering conspiracy, the most serious charge he was facing, but guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution. And now, as ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky explains from outside the federal courthouse in New York City, Diddy remains behind bars, denied bail until his October 3rd sentencing.
The judge said that Combs's propensity for violence was starkly depicted on that 2016 hotel security camera footage that may well factor into the judge's sentencing decisions.
Brian Kohberger admitted in an Idaho court today he was the one who killed 4 University of Idaho students in November of 2022. In court, Judge Stephen Hippler read the plea agreement, asked Kohberger a series of questions before a plea was formally entered. We get more from ABC's Kana Whitworth in the courtroom there in Boise.
This is a stunning move that he would accept this plea deal, and when he did. What the judge asked first, though, was, do you admit to these murders? And then he named each one of the victims, and with every name that was read, it was like a striking blow in the courtroom. You could actually see the different family members start to break down, start to sob.
So Kohberger's guilty plea means he avoids the death penalty. Right now in Murfreesboro, police say they've rounded up a 7th drive-by shooting suspect believed to be involved in a series of such crimes across Murfreesboro recently, one of which injured an innocent 11-year-old girl. Murfreesboro police crediting their gunshot technology with, within seconds of shots being fired, sensors from the system send real-time alerts to police. Also, their real-time crime center using license plate readers to identify any vehicles involved, which in one of these cases was a blue Volkswagen sedan. Microsoft is firing thousands of workers. Its second mass layoff in months.
Layoff notices going out first thing Wednesday morning. Microsoft not saying how many people are losing their jobs, but admitting it makes up about 4% of its workforce. The cuts will affect several teams around the world, including those in sales and employees in the Xbox video game division. This is the third round of layoffs at Microsoft this year, including its biggest round of cuts, 6,000 people, that happened in May.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Bellevue, TDOT reporting the right two lanes are blocked by a crash 40 westbound at Old Hickory Boulevard West. And in Rural Hill, police say there's a crash 24 eastbound at Bell Road. And in Smyrna, we've got a crash off on the right shoulder 24 eastbound just past Sam Ridley Parkway. Back up in Clarksville, Montgomery County got a crash blocking the left lane. This is 24 eastbound at MLK Parkway. And in Rutherford County, Highway Patrol reporting a crash 24 eastbound at Church Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 6:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand, filling in for Matt Murphy. Matt will be back on Monday. You can listen to the show anywhere on iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. You can watch the show, Super Talk TV. We're live on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and our personal favorite, YouTube. Hit like, hit subscribe. We got the 4th of July long weekend coming up, and I thought it would be really cool to have my friend in here, Colton McCabe, who is affectionately known as the J6 Sheriff. Colton became a political prisoner on January 6, 2021. And well, because of the events on that day, it was a couple weeks after. And I first really heard about your story from your wonderful wife, Sarah, who really she stepped up for you while you were away. And she stood in the gap and she raised the flag on your story and really did a lot. I mean, she was raising money for J6 prisoners, appellate lawyers. She was raising money for J6 families to go visit J6 prisoners. Your wife was incredible, and she stood by you this whole time. Then I met you, and I was like, oh, it makes so much sense. Like, you're a stand-up guy. And I wanted to have you in here because I feel like it's a great time for a conversation about freedom. So, Colton McCabe, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm very excited to have you here. Give me a brief synopsis, kind of like a rundown on what happened January 6, 2021, how long you spent away, and kind of what it's been like to rebuild since you got released on the Donald Trump pardon.
Yeah, on January 6th, we went there to hear Trump speak, and that's exactly what I did. Made our way down to the Capitol, peacefully and patriotically made our voices heard. Chaos ensued. I pulled a lady out of a stampede. I protected another officer who was getting pulled down the stairs, and then I did CPR on Roseanne Boylan. All that happened in about 10 minutes. And for that, I got, charged with a couple assaults, one with weapons, which I had gloves on. That was remote weapons. And then, I got sentenced to prison for 6 years. I did 3.5, so a little over, I think, 1,252 days. And then
I don't think you think. I think you know.
32 seconds and all that, all that. But yeah, no, I got pardoned on the 20th of this year, and as soon as I don't think he even made it to the White House before I left prison.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and we have, and if in case you guys are wondering more about the prison side of the J6 story, we did a long interview. What, you were out maybe a week?
Yeah.
About what life was like inside and what it was like getting the pardon. So that's available on the YouTube channel if people want to dive in. You've been out now for less than 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to put your life back together. How's that going?
Yeah, every day is I won't lie to you guys. It's a struggle. Sometimes I do feel like I do miss the tranquility and the peace of prison, if you can say that.
Yeah, that's got to be a crazy feeling.
It is, and so this time last year, I was sitting in prison and watching the fireworks from my jail cell. It's crazy. And the fact that, like, let's go back to D.C. when we were locked up in D.C. We would all, go in our rooms and you could see D.C. just light up with fireworks, and we'd all just have fun, like as much as we could in prison. I mean, we're all J6ers together. We're celebrating the 4th. And now that this is my first time out, this is going to be kind of weird. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's got to be weird, especially having your freedom taken away. As we roll into a holiday where we're celebrating freedom, has your view of freedom or your definition of freedom changed since January 6th compared to how you saw it before you were locked up for peacefully protesting?
Yeah, and here's the thing. With you don't know what you have until it's taken away from you. And so they couldn't take my mindset away from me. They couldn't take my, my thinking, but they did take my freedom. I couldn't go out. I couldn't, see my loved ones. I couldn't even get a haircut for a year. It's that crazy. So with the freedom of being out now, and, I got, most of my rights back so far,
Yep.
I can still do things. But the concept it's different, because I still think, like Francis Scott Key when he was, on the ship, or even the Revolutionary soldiers in prison during the war. I was thinking about what they were going through and what I'm going through. And I'm not equating myself to them, but I'm just thinking, hey, look, I did this for my country and they did that for their country. And just the mindset of, hey, look, this is just crazy what they can do for us.
What moment during, this entire 4 years did you feel like your freedom was most under attack?
Right during trial, for real. I got lied about, to my face, and that hurt the worst.
How'd they lie to you?
Well, they just started making up random stories, like I assaulted a third officer or something like that, or I went there to whoop on the police, and I turned to my lawyer and said if I wanted to whoop on police that day, I would have stayed at work. Yeah. I mean, heck, far. And I had the jurors sit there and just like, no, you deserve to be in prison and you deserve to be underneath the jail. I had one juror that said that she wanted to do my sentencing and, my punishment. It's like that right there where, it just kind of sucks all the air out of the room. Like, oh man, this is getting real. Like I could go away for a long time. And I remember when I first got arrested and I went to the magistrate court, they added up all my charges. And I would be looking at almost 70 years. And so, I got 6. They asked for 14, I think, 12 to 14.
It's insane.
But I got 6, I had an out date, and that's when it's like, oh my gosh, okay.
Does that change your view of liberty? Does that like tarnish your view of freedom? Does it make you kind of question the federal government and just like, how do you wrap your head around all that?
Well, the way I see it is this, you have your freedoms. Nobody can take that away from you until you either mess up or they come after you and put false charges on you, right? With them coming after me, it actually solidified my love for this country because, I knew I was doing something right. I knew what I did helping people. What I did was, what I swore an oath to. And I'll do that every day. So they can come after us. They can do whatever they need to do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to honor my oath and I'm going to stick up for everybody. And that's true freedom.
Yeah. We're talking with Colton McCabe. He's the J6 sheriff. He was locked up over 1,000 days because he peacefully protested and made his voice heard on January 6th in 2021. And I guess I would ask you, how much was January 6th about fighting for freedom and how much was it being caught in a trap set by those people in power at that time?
Well, if you've read the news or whatever, it might be rumors. I don't know. Everything on X is up for debate. But they say Kash Patel has actually caught evidence of a stolen election.
Yep.
Well, I knew that. The day one.
That's why you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Kash Patel announced that there was a plot, Chinese IDs. China was sending in counterfeit IDs that then they would be used for voting registration. The FBI director at the time, Christopher Wray, silenced that report, then testified under oath that there was no election interference whatsoever. But yeah, so continue. I didn't.
Yeah. So there's that, right? And then it's just kind of like, what do you do, type of thing when that comes out? Like I'm vindicated for sure, But it's just, to me, it's everything happens for a reason. If I didn't go, I wouldn't have, Sarah wouldn't have had her organization started. She wouldn't be helping other people. You and I wouldn't be certainly talking,
Yeah.
And, I feel like God called me to do something, because I've never felt this pull before. And, I went through the suck, but mostly everybody who's called does go through something like that.
Yep.
And so since then, since I've been out, I've done speaking engagements. I've done, other things, political events. I talk to congressmen now, Representative Barrett, he's taking over Mark Green's spot,
yep.
Or he should be, right? And he actually texted me and said, look, I asked him a question. Who do you work for? He said he works for his constituent. He works for his people, not the people in Nashville that doesn't, that like those people don't pay his bills. We
Right.
pay his bills,
Right.
and that's what I'm looking for. And so it's like, the whole concept of, liberty, freedom and whatnot, until, like I said, until you lose it, like you never truly know what you have.
It's interesting, man. And you lost everything.
Yeah.
But, it's like, I think it was David Goggins. It's like on the other side of that suck is greatness, right?
Yeah.
I like how you smile. I like how you smile right away. It's like, but on the other side of that, it is something that is really cool. And kind of what you're doing right now it's pretty cool. And it's cool for me to watch. I remember seeing you a week after you got out of prison, and I walked out to grab you just moments ago. I was like, oh, crap, man, you got jacked. I was like, look at you, dude. I was like, you've been buffing up. But you're rebuilding your life. How has that been going?
Yeah, it's a slow struggle. It took a while for me to get a job, and I got one finally. And I'm grateful. I'm very grateful that somebody gave me a chance. Because even even when I run my background check, it still comes back as a felon. But at the very bottom says pardoned. So that's still hindering me. But yeah, I've been working a lot, trying to get the money back.
Because that's a huge financial strain on you and your family.
It really
what you
is.
went through.
Yeah, I mean, we spent, oh my goodness, at least 6 figures on lawyers, on commissary, phone time, everything, and like our previous conversation, I've been to 12 different facilities.
Yeah.
Every time you had to start over and buy other things, and not all of them have the same phone system. So you have to put money on this phone, you have to put money on that phone, and it got to the point where it's like when I actually got to prison in Minnesota, it got to the point where I said, "Hey, Sarah, like, don't put any money on my books. Like, I'm going to be as broke as a joke as far as I can, because all my stuff is going to be supplied for."
Yeah.
And that actually helped. And so now, yeah, I am rebuilding. I'm working, I'm bringing in some money, and then doing the public speaking that helps on the side.
Yep.
Sarah, she's a workhorse. She works all the time. So she's paying the bills too. So, I mean, yeah, we're doing it together.
How has your relationship with God been through all of this?
That's a great question, because I know last time we talked about, I was fully in, right?
Yep.
And that hasn't changed. I have questioned, hey, why are we going through this? Why is it such a grind? But diamonds are made, with a lot of pressure. And, I found a church, it's down in Lawrenceburg, it's a little red barn.
Love it.
My good friend of mine, he preaches there, Brandon, he's doing amazing things. And the thing I like about it is he's real about it. He does preaching and politics, because he and I have the same belief. We need to put God back into the politics.
Yes.
And so that's what I got drawn to.
Yeah, we got to bring God back into the public square.
Oh yeah,
100%.
Sure.
That's what's going to change things, not removing him, bringing him back. We got a lot more to talk about. I got a lot more questions for you, especially around the concepts of freedom and liberty as we're heading into this 4th of July weekend. We're hanging out with Colton McCabe, who is known as the J6 Sheriff. Is that your Twitter handle? Is it at the J6 Sheriff?
I think it's at Real Sheriff Mac now.
At Real Sheriff Mac. Okay. Well, we'll get that straightened out, because I definitely want people to find you on X and follow you. But Colton's going to be hanging out all hour. If you guys got any questions for him, you can send him the text line 615-737-9986. It's 621. Chris Hand in for Matt Murphy on Super Talk.
Friends, how much do you pay for health insurance? If you don't know the answer off the top of your head, might I recommend you call Shane Ring at Cover Nash? Shane's not one to sell you or upsell you on products that you don't need, but you need an expert in your corner to examine the health insurance marketplace and make sure that you're not overpaying. I don't know, and honestly, if I didn't have Shane Ring in my corner, I don't think I would know if I'm overpaying or not. But with Shane on your side, you can find out. He sits down with you and shops the entire health plan market, so you know every health plan that's available. And he can get you a plan that has a deductible as low as $250. I know. You think you heard me incorrectly. You heard me correctly. Call Shane Ring and ask him about it, and you don't have to wait till open enrollment either. Don't get taken advantage of and don't overpay. Take control of your money. Take control of your health coverage managed by you and never by the government. Go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com, or call 615-465-0023. 465-0023.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 6:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand in for Matt Murphy, joined in studio by a very special guest, Colton McCabe. He's known as the J6 Sheriff. You can find him on X at Real Sheriff Mac. Real Sheriff Mac on X. He's definitely worth the follow. He's a guy that you want to get to know. But we were talking off the air. So, I mean, you spent over 1,200 days in prison, 12 different facilities.
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but bust out laughing at your take on Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, man, it's sweet. It's real nice in there.
This is a guy that has been in 12 federal prisons.
Well, 12 county jails and, 2 federal prisons, yeah.
Okay. What is so nice about Alligator Alcatraz? Because you said to me, like, I wish I could have been sent somewhere like that.
They got pillows, man. They got pillows. They got nice concrete floors, nice facilities. I mean, yeah, they got chain link fence or whatever, but I mean, that is great. It's all clean. I mean, we would love to be there if we were still locked up.
But the left tells me that it's a concentration camp.
Yeah, well, they can't concentrate.
So when you see the left acting just insane about the treatment of illegal aliens, does that kind of infuriate you because you're an American citizen and the way they treated you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's one of the things that really get underneath my skin is that they love foreigners more than they love Americans. They expect that the left is so anti-American, it's not even funny. And the way they treated us, they cheered when the FBI hunted us down.
Yep.
And locked us away. I've had so many comments towards me saying I should still be in jail. Well, newsflash, I would have gotten out no matter what, this year. But they do not want American citizens, thriving. But if I come over here illegally, I should get everything underneath the sun. It's unbelievable.
I can see you getting visibly angry about it because you had your freedom taken away for over 1,200 days.
Yeah. And
you were protecting police officers who were being assaulted. And then you were charged with assault yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see an illegal alien come in. One of the guys on a deportation flight was a cannibal and was like eating his own arm.
Yeah, I heard that.
And these are the people that the left are defending.
Yeah, well, they can't even pronounce his name.
No, but a guy like you, they say throw away the key.
Exactly.
When you were a sheriff for how many years in Tennessee?
7. Yep.
And it's like, no. He's a terrible person.
Oh, yeah. I was a danger to my community, apparently.
Seriously. I'm a little nervous sitting next to you right now. I'll be perfectly honest. As you're heading into the 4th of July, is it a time of celebration for you? This is your first 4th of July, as a free man since 2021.
Yeah.
Or no, since 2020 would have been your last one.
Technically, yeah.
So this is 5 years now. Is it changed how you're going to celebrate?
I mean, for sure. I mean, we used to have the family traditions and stuff, go out and have fun and whatnot. Watch the fireworks blow up. Now I don't even know, what we're going to do. And here's the thing, like, because I don't know, we either talked off the air or last segment or whatever, but sitting inside that jail cell, watching the fireworks, surrounded by the J6ers, by my guys, that's what I'm thinking about right now. Where are these guys at? What are they feeling? Because right now I'm feeling is how we all got together and just watch the fireworks. So since this is my first time out, doing the fireworks and stuff, I mean, I'm going to FaceTime my buddy. He's in Kansas City, and we're just going to just talk. I mean, it is. I really don't know how to explain it.
Is it a positive feeling, or is it like a bittersweet feeling? Is there some negativity that creeps in?
I mean, it's more of a, I guess you could say bittersweet. I'm grateful. I'm happy I'm out. I'm happy that I get to celebrate, 4th of July.
But I don't think anybody would say you were wrong if you had a little bit of anger and resentment built up after what you've been through and been put through.
Well, I wouldn't really say anger and resentment. I would say more of I miss the guys. I miss the guys that I did, 3 years with. And, now I'm out, I can call them up and stuff. It's not the same, brothers are forged through adversity. And we had a lot of adversity, I mean, we created a brotherhood, and now we're scattered across all America.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about that brotherhood on the other side. It's 6:31. We're going to stop down for news, but then we're going to be right back with Colton McCabe Real Sheriff Mac on X. If you haven't followed him yet, you need to do so. He's a J6 political prisoner. We're talking about freedom ahead of 4th of July right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Men of Valor. Men of Valor is a ministry that is primarily funded by individuals, families, and churches. Individuals just like you. Your support means so much to Men of Valor because it helps win men over to Christ in prison. And in doing so, they become givers in society and not takers. Sadly, so many of the men that go into the prison system, they fall into the gang culture and they further become even more criminally minded. And when they come out of that system, and by the way, 90% of the men that go into prison, they're going to get out at some time or another. When they come out of the system, they're just they're even worse criminals than when they came in. When Men of Valor ministers to men, They turn recidivism rates from over 50% in the state of Tennessee to under 15%. That's an incredible rate of return, and it truly does save us money as taxpayers because it costs a lot of money to incarcerate men within our system. Your support is so crucial, whether it's volunteering in the system, whether it's volunteering in their graduate programs or through your donations. They so appreciate your ability to support Men of Valor and the wonderful ministry that they provide. Go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com for more information.
.638 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. We got a couple more minutes till we break for the 4th of July holiday, and I'm joined in studio by a very special guest, J6 political prisoner Colton McCabe. He was a sheriff in Tennessee for 7 years. This guy is an absolute patriot. Now, I got a text here from 4872, said you're a true American hero. I tend to agree with that. I got another text here that I wanted to ask you about. Colton, 1221 text in, says, does Colton have a GoFundMe or anything like that? He's a patriot. I'd like to help him out. Do you have a GoFundMe? Is there any way that we can support you here at the Super Talk audience?
Yeah, so I got rid of my Gifts and Go because it fulfilled its duty. If you feel like you need to donate or whatever, I would suggest going to standinthegap.foundation. And what that is, that's my that's Sarah's organization that she runs with Shane Jenkins, another J6er. And you can go there. You can donate whatever you need to donate. In fact, they just helped funeral plans with another J6er today. Bart Shively, he was laid to rest today. He died from cancer, Marine Corps veteran, and they put it all together.
They paid for everything.
They paid for everything.
It's amazing.
Yep.
And that foundation was started by your wife while you were locked up.
Yeah.
I mean, she was kind of thrown into this role of being your voice when they took yours away.
Well, not just mine, but everybody's.
Yeah. Honestly. And standinthegap.foundation, that's the website. But the work that they were doing, they were flying J6ers family to the faraway prisons. I mean, even a guy like you, It's not cheap to go fly to Minnesota for a 1 hour visit.
No, not at all. And, and so Sarah would pay out of her own pocket because, we believe in, giving to others and not taking. But you had other people like, we had a guy from Tennessee up in Michigan or, over in Oklahoma or something. Those families who needed the funds got the funds,
Yep.
And so they put all that together. They paid for airfare, hotels. I don't know if they paid for food or not, but sometimes rental cars. They paid for it all. And, it's because of donations like that, because of donors. and it's all been 100% donor raised. You know, well, I say that, but Sarah put a lot of money in it too. But, you know, even though we're not in anymore, it's still helping J6ers.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I love the way you guys have pivoted and then you're taking care of these heroes even after they move on. It's great work what you guys are doing. So, yeah, if you guys want to support Colton and his wonderful wife, Sarah, StandInTheGap.Foundation. That'll also help countless J6ers all over the country. As we're heading into the 4th of July weekend, you know, we talked a little bit about Alligator Alcatraz, and, you know, you joked. You're like, I wish I could have gone somewhere as nice as that. But what do you think is, like, as an American that hasn't gone through what you've been through, what am I missing from the J6 thing? What is, like, a takeaway that you have that you go, man, nobody ever thinks about this. Nobody realizes I went through X, or, you know, what happened was here. This was a big deal. What's your biggest takeaway from everything you've been through?
Well, I mean, I'll say it has emboldened me to actually, you know, talk more. Because used to, I was political a little bit, but, you know, I wasn't vocal. Now I am vocal because, you know, they took everything from me, and I'm going to make sure that everybody knows what happened. My thing is this, you know, once you get locked up for your First Amendment rights, for freedom of speech and, you know, right to assembly, you know, what else can they do for you? They can't take anything else away from me, you know? So I'm not advocating on going back, but what I do want to advocate for is don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. But the same thing is be prepared to pay the consequences. I mean, because if you don't have anything to stand on, you're going to kneel for anything, right?
Yep. How has your views of the legal system changed?
You know, being a sheriff for so long,
7 years.
7 years. I thought, you know, you went to jail, you were guilty. You know, you went to court, you had your time, enough said. And then I went through it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this has changed my mind. You know, because, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but going through that, you know, there is a two-tier justice system. I mean, look at just recently with Diddy. You know, I mean,
yep.
You have money, you can pay your way out, or, you know, like, let's say me, I didn't have money. I couldn't pay my way out, but, you know, you had other people who could, you know, got off scot-free. When I was in jail, I was kept in jail because I was a danger to my community, so said the prosecutor, because I was a cop. I didn't get bond or anything. Yet there's a guy in D.C. who followed a congresswoman to her hotel, choked her out inside the elevator, bit a cop and kicked another cop, and got probation. I mean, like, what? There's two-tier justice. And until we fix that, we're not going to have a good justice system.
Do you feel like since you were pardoned by Donald Trump that any of those kind of institutional changes have happened, or are you still kind of waiting for those changes to come?
I'm still waiting. I think we're all waiting. I mean, what? Not to bash them, but, like, what's Cash and Pam Bondi doing? You know, I mean, yeah, I understand it takes time to build a case, but at this point in time, we've had almost 1,000 J6ers arrested. You know, so I want to see accountability. And if Cash actually has the receipts saying the election was stolen, then we need to go after the January 6th committee, go after, you know, all the people who were fake pardoned by the auto pen, and just hold them accountable.
Do you think if we don't hold them accountable that this is going to kind of be the legal blueprint for how they deal with, you know, future fights or future protests politically? Do you think that we're going to see this repeated out again down the road if we don't fix these errors, or do you think that this is kind of like a one and done?
I mean, I think you see it no matter what. I mean, you see it now. I mean, yeah, we had one bad day in 21. The right. The left has a bad day every day.
Yeah.
They're always protesting. You know, I mean, just recently, like, I think tomorrow there's another No Kings protest here in Nashville. Nobody gets arrested for that. Or if they do, they don't go to jail for a long time. Yeah, I can go over there to the Capitol and make my voice heard and help people and get 6 years. So it's just, everything's political, even when they say it's not. You know, and I hate to say it, but the left has a cap on it. You know, the left can sit there and do what they want to do and not have any consequences.
No, it doesn't seem like they have many consequences, though. With these last riots, we are seeing federal charges coming in, which will supersede what LA was able to do. It's kind of got me a little giddy because I was like, oh, keep keep protesting, lose that right to vote, lose the right to a firearm. If you want to mess around, you're going to find out. But how do you view those protests? Do you want the book thrown at those guys, or is there some where you see them standing in the crowd where you go, man, they're not really doing anything?
I don't want the book to be thrown at them. No, I want them to have a fair trial, something I didn't get. I want them to actually go through the process, the due process, and, actually, if they're convicted and they're guilty of it, do your time. I mean, if you're just standing there and the riot breaks out and you're just, like, caught up in the middle, like, hey, look, man, just go, But if you're actually rioting, go through the legal system properly. Get the due process that we were denied. Do your time, get out.
Do you think somebody that is in one of these like anti-immigration riots or the No Kings protests, if they're doing something nefarious, do you think that they're going to get the same kind of treatment that you got, or do you think they're going to be treated a bit better?
No, they'll be treated a bit better. So let's back up to January 6th. So my good friend Billy Cressman, he actually has 6 rules named after him that was treated for us. So it's more than minimal planning. It's I can't remember all of it, but anyways, you have 6 Cressman factors that they applied to us to keep us inside the jail, to keep us, like no bond. They created it for us and only used it for us. They have not used it since then. You've had multiple protests at the Capitol. You've had multiple protests, L.A. or here or whatever. Some of them are federal protests, but you're not using what you created, the Cressman factors, against them. Why not?
That's all purely political.
It is.
Does that infuriate you?
Yeah, I mean, it really does, because those 6 Cressman factors, and I tell them every day, you're the reason I was in jail, but those 6 Cressman factors are just arbitrarily they were just made up. They're fake. And for a judge to make that up and then just throw them away, I mean, how is that justice?
It's not. It sounds like 6 feet of social distancing. It's
yeah.
Just, randomly pulled out of thin air, and now everybody has to listen to it. We're talking with Colton McCabe. He is a J6 political prisoner. He was a sheriff here in Tennessee for 7 years. He's a great guy. You can find him on X at Real Sheriff Mac. As we're heading into the 4th of July holiday, how do you think the Founding Fathers would have viewed January 6th? How do you think they would have seen and reacted to what happened that day?
I think it'd be a mixture of emotions. You've got, I think you've got like Thomas Jefferson, who would sit there and kind of hide, and cheer from the sidelines, where you've got Sam Adams, who would be right there in the thick of it with his Braves,
Yep.
At the end of the day, that's what the First Amendment was created for, and not just that, but I mean, like, the Constitution says, you have the right to redress your grievances, right? You have a right to not overthrow the government, but, press upon them, hey, look, you're doing something wrong, you're done. Like, we need to install our own people, install the people who are actually for America. And so I think they would actually view it as a, a positive thing. I mean, it's basically what they did for the Revolutionary War. They took on their own government. They were considered traitors to their government.
Yeah, they're not lying. Are you more hopeful for the future of America today, or are you worried?
Right now with Trump, I'm hopeful. It's after Trump that I'm worried about. Because the Democrats, they're never going to stop. They're never going to stop lying, cheating, stealing. I mean, look what they did the last 4 years. They almost ruined this country completely before, and then Trump got in and he's building it back up. But they're still actively going against Trump. They're going to actively go against anybody in that Republican seat. It doesn't matter if you're Trump, Vance,
right,
whoever. It's the next Hitler to them.
Yep. I mean, they went after Mitt Romney for crying out loud.
Mitt Romney and,
John McCain.
Yeah.
As you're kind of looking at the last 6 months of Trump, I mean, granted, you're a bit biased. He did give you a hell of a pardon. But what grade would you give him so far during this term?
I think he's on par for 100% right now. I mean, he's winning. Everywhere you turn, he's winning. Now with the whole Elon and Trump thing, I don't understand that. I don't understand why we're airing our grievances out like that. I actually encourage them to both get in the ring and see what happens. But I think he's doing good. He's winning every time he turns around. I mean, look, he created peace in Africa, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's getting peace in the Middle East. He ended the 12-day war, right?
Yep.
We're going to see what he does with Ukraine. I mean, I think Ukraine's just not want to play ball.
I'm with you.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
As we head into the 4th of July holiday, we're talking with Colton McCabe, J6 political prisoner, great guy. But what's the hardest truth about freedom that you've learned through this experience that you'd want like the younger generations to know as they're celebrating the 4th of July this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, your physical freedom can be taken from you no matter what, just in an instant. You could be going down the street and then mess up. Boom, you're locked up. You can lose your rights, but you can still love your country. You can still do good for your country, and you can still work for your country. For me, yeah, I got most of my rights back. I'm still trying to get my voting rights back. But
they're going to hold out on that because they know which way you're voting.
yeah, and then, but for me, even though I can't vote, I can still campaign. I can still work for the other guy. I can still do this. I can still do that.
I like that.
Do something with your voice. Do something, just get off the couch.
Amen.
Put down the Game Boy, Xbox controller. Do something. That's the key. Just get out, knock on doors, make your voice heard, do political speeches, do whatever. Just make sure this country is on the right track. Make America great again. Make Tennessee great again. Let's do it. Just, like I said, get off the couch, guys.
Amen. From a guy who was on the couch for over 1,200 days, he is telling you get off the couch and use your voice. Colton McCabe, really appreciate the time today, man. And anything you need, you always got a friend here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Make sure you guys go follow Colton on X. It's Real Sheriff Mac. That's Real Sheriff Mac on X. I'd love to see you get those follower numbers up. Everybody that listens to this program needs to follow you on X and support you on this journey. You're a patriot, man, and I'm grateful for you spending some time with us today. Thank you so much.
Hey, no, thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Colton McCabe, everybody. It's 6:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, for some time you've been hearing me talk about how great the Glock store is. There's a few reasons why. The Glock store carries all of the Glocks, both factory and custom Glocks. I've never seen, folks, when you go to the Glock store, let me bottom line this for you. I've been in a lot of gun stores, and I've seen a lot of Glocks, and I've owned Glocks for years. I've never seen the numbers of custom Glocks that I've seen at the Glock store. It's something for everyone. There's a style for everyone. They've got all the PBGs, the plain black Glocks at the lowest possible price, but they also have factory colored Glocks, competition-ready race Glocks, rare and discontinued collectible Glocks, beautiful custom Glocks, and the wildly popular Trump Glocks. We gave away 3 of those during the big open house just a couple of weeks ago. They also have the best accessories for Glocks, including red and green dot optics, upgraded triggers, extended controls, and the lowest price on Glock magazines in the entire United States of America. Basically, if it's a Glock, if it's for a Glock, they have it in stock with all of the options. Now, if you've never been to the Glock store or if you've never shot a Glock, just purchase a 10-round test pack of 9mm ammo for only $6.99. They're going to let you test fire any Glock in the rental department, including the Glock 43X, the most popular concealed carry handgun in the United States of America, and one that I personally own. It's my friends at the Glock store, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only Glock store.
$6:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I've been filling in for Matt Murphy for like a week and a half, and I just want to say thank you to the entire audience of the Matt Murphy Show for welcoming me in and putting up with me while Matt's been out of commission. I do appreciate you guys. I also want to say thank you again to Colton McCabe, the J6 Sheriff, at Real Sheriff Mac on X, for stopping by and having a conversation with us about freedom. I think Colton is just an awesome guy. And we actually had a longer conversation a couple months back now. It's about a week after he got pardoned. And if you want to learn more about Colton and what life was like on the inside in those 12 prisons that he was sent to, find it on our YouTube page. It's a conversation with a J6 political prisoner. Just search for Super Talk 99.7 WTN on YouTube and check that out. It's 7 o'clock. I hope you guys have the best Independence Day weekend. Enjoy.